Alrighty, hello, welcome back. Last time we left off with the Unfortunate Sons, formerly known as Sunday Shenanigans. Should be updated on YouTube as of the posting of this video. We left off with session 20. We are now on session 21 with the expedition day 4 through 7. Last time we left off, well, the party had a little bit of a experience. With them coming together, waking up after having previous session, not really gained much XP and having dealt with a necromancer, the party was pretty raring to go to find something to kill, any creature to hunt, something to find and deal with. But as the start of the session, we'd see Ned heading off into the forest with Kez and Dom hanging or kind of looking around the camp, learning about what's going on, as well as relaxing as much as they could. Though, unfortunately, as the time would go on, Ned would not return from his little roundabout into the forest. And with that, the party would find themselves quite concerned, leaving Sprungus and Frungus back at the camp with the sleeping Eider, who was still passed out in the wagon last they saw. The party would head to the forest looking for Ned, where they would find Ned meditating inside of what looked to be a small little gathering of thicker, shorter trees that had been cleared out of anything or of any snow, which should have been the first clue that something at the time was the matter. Having found a strange staff in that same little outcropping of trees, Ned was kind of set with a bit of strangeness, or confusion rather, not really understanding what the staff saying rebirth meant, or why it had a bronze bear figurine split in half and shoved into the top of it, as if like being forced in by someone's hand. Unfortunately for the party, though, they'd soon get the answer of what exactly happened, as Kez and Dom would come upon Ned getting ambushed by a group of 4 bandits with their bows at the ready, as well as an aggressive magical bear that seemed to have, as the party would later learn, a spur from the figurine itself, going mad and attacking anything about it. The party would then find themselves facing off against the bandits, not knowing anything other than the fact that they looked to be of kobold descent, having dragonkin-like bodies, and looking to be of howling dragon bloodlines. The party would hold to the best of their ability, Kaz taking horrible shots from the arrows, and Dom following up quite shortly, knocking down almost half health on both of them, if I remember correctly. Though, as the fighting looked at its most desperate, Sprungus and Frungus would almost appear as if out of nowhere, deciding to go and check in on the party, as the two would appear, Sprungus causing confusion and immediately with the bear to avoid the creature being able to attack, and with Sprungus using his fire on the bandits, trying to knock them out of the tree as quickly as possible. The party would manage to hold as the bear would fight against Dom and Kez, and Ned would end up getting piled on by the few bandits that were killed by Sprungus's barrage of fiery hands. As the fight would continue, Ned would find himself yet again crawling out of that area and under 2 bodies, with Kez returning over to not only attack but assist Ned as best he could, though instead choosing, if I remember correctly, to heal Ned and not pull him out at the time, as the 2 bodies ended up piled on top of him.
No, I'm pretty sure I attacked the 2 bodies instead.
That's right. That you hit them with your hammer, yeah, double tap them, that's right.
Yep, I was just making sure that they were dead and not still alive.
Yep, the 2 burning bodies that were laying atop Ned's body. As far as the fight would continue on, the group would manage to hold off and keep the bear not only pinned down, but eventually defeating it with the help of Sprungus. The bandits falling one by one, except for a single one who decided to surrender at the time. Though unfortunate to the party, as they would wipe away the final remnants of the bear and finish up the fight, they would find that the bandit not only seemed to be cursed, or gifted, depending on your perspective, but that Sprungus would end up himself turned into a magic blade for a moment. With the party also learning the unfortunate truth that a druid of the same grove of Ned, as well as a cleric that seemed to be wearing the the circlet of the champion of his god, had been slain by these bandits. The one that would survive, however, as the party would find, did not seem to actually be in truth in any danger, as the creature would reveal itself to be a true-born howling dragon. Not only a true-born, but also a young adult, as it would appear. The creature managing to easily outmaneuver both Sprungus and Brungus and Ned as they tried to keep the creature tied down. It would manage to escape while Kez and Dom went to check out the body of the champion, finding the circlet and retrieving it. We come back a little bit after that, as the party would return back to the camp, having found out that the Flock of Justice had been, and many of the other mercenary groups had been attacked by a giant bird-like creature with massive brown feathers and what looked, as many described, massive talons. Eider, as you spent your time at camp, relaxing, working away, not really knowing what was going on, as when you awoke, everyone was gone, assuming that they had gone on their mission. You had no real business to go and find them. They would be like trying to find a needle in a haystack, so you chose to stay back and work on the materials you had, the few items that you were crafting still. During that time, you would watch as the caravan would start to kind of get up and begin to move at a very slow pace, as you kind of kept up with them, managing to get the wagon moving while you were able to still work about amongst your forge in the back, being able to hammer away, draw out what you can, work about as you may. The entire expedition would come under attack about an hour into the day, after you woke up, finding itself almost continuously being barraged by these giant bird-like creatures that you would recognize similarly to look like rocks. Though brown isn't the color you'd describe as you got a good look at them, most of them seeming to be black in coloration with massive metallic red stripes painted across their bodies. These creatures seem to have kept coming and attacking. While you were able to dodge and keep away from most of the majority of the expedition, you're not being paid to protect this group. Your job was to go out with the rest of your crew and help out there. So as you look at it and see that the other groups who are supposed to be here and working are supposed to be defending, you make the decision to kind of hold back and watch and making sure that your own wagon is safe and kept protected. As the fight would go on, you would watch both the Flock of Justice not only try and lure these creatures off into another area, but a massive version of these birds attack down and take out an entire group of the Pack of Smiles, including carrying off what looked to be Valthana, the leader of the group. As the creature would fly away, you would watch as the Flock of Justice would try to chase it down, their leader specifically even managing to use what looked to be some strange magic that allowed him to gain a momentary chain onto the creature. Though, as soon as he did, it seemed that the flock seemed to almost directly focus him, tearing him to shreds. The last you saw of him was him being carried away into the forest by the creatures and disappearing before anybody could do anything. The rest of the Flock of Justice, as well as the Pack of Smiles, would not only face heavy injuries, but the Pack of Smiles, from what you would watch, would be almost completely massacred, one after another. Not only seeing their blood being taken, or them being cut up in front of your eyes, but even them trying to defend members of the Flock of Justice and the Black Hand as they were trying to keep their lives. As the day would go on, the fight would end with a sad loss, as you would watch. Many of the flock, many of the Flock of Justice injured to the point of being almost completely out of commission. Few members of them seemingly staying behind at camp to help the wounded. And as from what you've been hearing, no one has yet to be able to find Kezruk Longhelm, the leader of the flock. You would also, as the day has gone on, see no members of the Pack of Smiles being brought back to the tents. The official registry, as you've been hearing it called out by some of the medics running about, is that their entire mercenary group is now gone. None of the bodies being listed as capable of being brought back. As the day would go on, though, and things would settle down, you would kind of return back into the wagon, working away at what you were forging. As you would hear what sounds like a bit of a kerfuffle coming from the forest. The sounds of voices that you are familiar with. The sounds of Sprungus, Frungus, Kez, Dom, and Ned all talking and rushing over towards, as you look out the wagon, the medical tents. And as you see them, you feel as if you've almost seen a ghost as they rush in, disappearing out of sight. We come back to only a few moments after we left the last session of you lot, Kez, Dom, and Ned working amongst the tent, inside the tent amongst the flock of justice, with the rest of the party, Sprungus, and Eider, kind of going over towards the wagon with the two brothers to meet up, not only with Eider, but to not really do anything. Actually, wait, Sprungus, was it at the last session, end of session, you were heading into the forest, right?
I went to where the attack happened.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Never mind. So as Sprungus returns back over towards the wagon with you, Eider, you watch as Sprungus kind of just continues walking towards where a lot of the troops are still pulling bodies out of and bringing them to the tents. Also a little side note, Eider, little happy prank. No one died.
No one is dead.
No one's dead.
You rat bastards.
The entire week. That was the entire
I
thing.
was waiting for the shocked reaction chat.
I was just very confused. I was like, what the fuck?
Nope.
Now, I will say, they took a lot of damage in the fight, but they're good.
So a druid and a cleric did die.
Yeah, it just wasn't those
We're just
two.
waiting on chat.
Also, I never stated they died, and I also, if you read all of my messages, everything I state is that they couldn't have done it without the help of others, or that if it wasn't for these people, they wouldn't have survived. I never once actually stated outright, either that anyone died.
Ah, you rat bastards.
Yep. We've been waiting for all week.
Might have white lied a little. I did try to give you genuine notes, so I tried to be helpful.
But as you kind of take a moment and blink for a second, you see as you feel in your gut for a moment a kind of a relaxedness as the sense of dread that your comrades had died while you were not with them, having seen them fight prior, and the experiences you've had with them in combat didn't leave you the most calm given the situation. As you kind of see Kez and Ned and Dom come out with a little bit injured, some blood, but nothing looking like they're missing any limbs, a sigh of relief definitely hits you.
Yeah, like a specter of doom has finally stopped talking in my ear.
Yeah, right. We're all alive.
Ned is actually completely healthy, other than a few singed leaves.
Oh yeah, I'm healed back to full.
Mm-hmm. Question.
Yeah.
So sorry.
Go ahead.
Real quick, just as a point of order, at the end of last session, I also sent my Frost Giant harem back to the scene to loot bodies and shit.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh,
God
I
damn it.
did.
Okay. I don't remember that, but alright.
It was like after recording stopped, I believe.
If it was, that's probably why I don't remember, because I start tuning out at that point. But okay, that's fair enough.
Okay, well, yeah, sorry. So
Yeah,
they're heading there too.
All right. So everything is all situated in the medical tents. Like the big rush of bodies have come in.
They're still coming in at this point.
Oh, okay. Then there's no rest for the wicked. Oh, hi, Enter. Nice to see you. I gotta get back to work. Thank you.
Okay, bye.
As you see Kez, he is covered in head to toe in someone's blood.
Oh yeah. There is a rag tied around. I have like a bandana around my neck so I can like pad my sweat. My arms are covered in blood. That's definitely not my own. I've been getting to work in there. Same thing with those other two. They've been helping me out in the medical tent.
That's why I'm just carrying supplies around helpfully.
You just couldn't believe what kind of ointments you can make out here.
Meanwhile, in the background, there's a guy screaming as his wound is now foaming that Ned just walked away from putting something on.
Ned, get back to work!
As you look over, Kez, it's cleaning the wound, but it's definitely causing a reaction as the guy is not the most pleasant
I
of
just look back at the guy screaming, "It's either that or we cut it off," and I hold up my scimitar.
Yeah, that's rough.
That's not. No! My man can't be burning like this. As the whispers or the yells continue going on as people are being pulled around.
That's a weird ethical dilemma, actually.
Right?
In theory, I could fucking go over and help, but also that would be horrible.
I mean, it's up to you as you look on. It's as you kind of stand up, walk over towards the tent, standing outside. You can see Kez is working, going table to table. Dom seems to be running back and forth with supplies, and Ned seems to be picking up plants off the ground and mushing them into a paste and shoving them in wounds. Whether or not the patients want it, it doesn't seem there's much bedside manner there.
Gotcha. I think I'll like go to like the people that look like they're on death's door and give them like a little tap.
Okay. Do you have healing spells, or are you gonna use heal or heal check?
I'm just gonna use the spellfire healing.
Okay. Yeah. As you start kind of going about it. Go ahead. Is it roll or is it out flat outright?
It's just a flat 2 HP.
Okay, 2 HP, thank you. As you go about working with the rest of the group, the four of you kind of spend the rest of the afternoon or evening kind of working away. It's 3-4 hours before you catch a break as you're working, grabbing people, moving them about, changing out wrappings, making sure that people are comfortable, trying to make sure Ned doesn't poison anyone, though it doesn't seem to happen, regardless of what patients scream out.
I know how to heal, damn it!
None of the doctors agreeing with this, but seemingly none of them having time to stop him as he just grabs patients and pulls them into a corner. But as we jump over, Sprungus and the Frost Giants that kind of head into the clearing, you see massive gashes in the ground where bodies are still being pulled out of, intestines thrown about of different individuals, pieces of individuals scattered, a couple of dead creatures, as you do see about 3 of them spotted with arrows. You'd guess as you count Sprungus, roughly 30-35 arrows per one, and these are pretty thick arrows, designed almost the size of a spear for a normal person, meaning a medium humanoid. As you kind of look about the creatures, they look to be rocks. They're black feathered, but as you kind of get a closer look, without even a check, it's kind of like tapping it, you can tell that is metal, red metal that has been painted onto their sides.
Is it colorium?
Give me an appraise check.
Okay.
Unless you have profession merchant by chance.
You're funny.
That's fair. Also, we had Rollman and James also convinced that Kez and Ned were dead, for reference, all week.
Yeah.
21. 21 appraise.
21 on the appraise. As you look it over, you're not familiar with colorium. You've never seen the material before in your short life that you've had. As you kind of take a second look at it over, you're not 100%. This looks to be a red metal, but you don't know what colorium is, so...
Alright. I mean, if they've been painted on, they're clearly not wild. So, I guess I'm off to find signs of where they came from.
Now, I am... give me a search... We'll just call it a search check for that. Or no, I'll take that or a knowledge nature or survival, because all 3 would give you different answers.
Yeah.
So...
Someone had to release things from somewhere, right? Had to be. 20 search.
As you look about, looking into the sky and looking around, there are mountains nearby. Your knowledge should be claimed by the Frost Giants. Beyond that, there's no airships, there's no clear large hills. These creatures had to clearly come from something flight. As you look at their talons, they don't look like they've got strong enough feet or legs to actually hold their bodies, as these creatures look to be almost in wingspan about 30 feet from wingtip to wingtip. And from tip of the beak to their tail end of the tail feathers, almost about the same size. The legs are short and stumpy, and it doesn't take much to realize these creatures couldn't walk at all, so they had to be released from somewhere high, and probably in given the ability to fly.
Okay. Can I tell by looking at it what the best parts of the rock would be? Like talons,
Best
whatever
parts.
part would craft.
What do you mean by best?
For craft.
What do you mean by craft? What are you trying to craft?
Anything. Weapons, armor, if I'm making cloaks, I assume the feathers could be used for something.
Do you have any, like, a profession smithing, or... Let me look.
I do have smithing.
Cause say, that would be the biggest, I think that would work. Yeah, I'll take that.
Just had these ranks from last. 25.
As you look at the creature, I mean, the entire thing theoretically could be valuable. You don't know about the internal organs, but the talons, the beak, feathers, the entire body is valuable, outright.
Alright. How heavy is a rock body?
Let me pull that up real quick. I believe at that size, they're going to be about 150 pounds because birds have hollow bones and rocks still are birds.
A rock weighs 8,000 pounds.
No, not that kind of rock.
No, rocks are like ridiculously heavy.
Well, they're big. That's only for the bigger ones. I think that's gargantuan, right?
The smallest rock is gargantuan. Like, they're not...
These creatures are not at their size. Being that, I think that's only large.
Children.
Yeah.
Children.
In total, though, you're looking at about 292 pounds of, on average. For weight.
And how many are there? Is it just the one,
about 3. There's only 3 of them, and they each have about like 30 to 35 bolts, arrows in them.
Yeah, I'm just dragging all 3.
Okay. I will note, these are huge creatures. As far as it goes, they are not gargantuan. The one that Eider saw, the large one, was colossal in size, for reference. Alright, yeah. As you're going to start dragging them one at a time, grabbing them by the talon and start bringing them back. Some of the troops that kind of head past you notice and kind of look at you, eyeing you up for a moment, but as they continue about their job grabbing people, they seem to kind of leave you be. The frost giants that Frungus sent seem to kind of look about for a bit, kind of noting a couple of things, looking at the dents into the ground, looking at some of the trees in the area. One of them comes over to you, Sprungus, looking to be a bit of a burlier looking frost giant, surprisingly almost matching you in size as he looks at you. Width-wise, not height in this case, because I believe you are taller than the average frost giant.
I think I'm actually 5 inches shorter, because I think 24 foot's their average.
Well, this guy's only 20 feet, so...
Yeah, I'm 23.
Okay. Yeah, as he walks over and looks up at you, looks up at you and goes... I think the creatures were let out by some sort of trained group. These aren't normal. Rocks don't hunt in packs.
Rocks also don't hunt when they're not bigger than this, as I thump one of the huge ones.
He nods and goes, "Those are hatchlings. They're not young, or they're too young."
Find people who did it later. Hard to track whoever released birds.
No, it ain't. There's only 2 people that have the ability to use this kind of metal. Trolls. Snowbeards these days. So, one of the 2. My guess, given the fact that we've been hearing rumors about cultists popping up around here, it could also be fiends.
I'll just nod, and I'll just say we'll keep an eye out, as I'll keep dragging the bodies back to our section of camp.
Side note, since you're Frungus's brother, out of curiosity, what makes him tick? He looks at you with a straight face and goes, "I'm the romantical type. I want to make sure I got an idea of what I'm dealing with here. Make the game fair, as I say."
We didn't exactly iron out how much I would know that he enjoys in romance, DM. I don't know if Sprungus knows.
Take a guess.
I care not for my brother's romantical endeavors. That kind of shit.
No,
Just
make
straight
it
up
up.
Swear
walk up to
yourself
you
to the
and
floor.
say, "Yo, how do I get in your
something
brother's
up,
pants?"
Fungus is looking.
Swear loyalty to daddy, and Fungus will be
Wait,
happy.
what did you say?
I said you were saying Fungus.
Oh, yeah, I was just saying it's improv. Fucking make something up. We didn't
Can
nail
I-
anything down.
Can I just go on a tirade of the various people he's inducted and have vanished from his harem over the 6 months we've existed?
Yeah, give me, let's see. You know what? Actually, I might have him roll for this. See how much of this he remembers.
John Jacob Jingleheimer.
As you start kind of listing off the names, basically really a long receipt that kind of starts to take like multiple
Jose.
unrolls of a scroll.
I'll list why Fungus was interested in them, you know.
He kind of looks at you after a while, and you start to see he kind of starts to like nod off about halfway through the list, starting to kind of like fall asleep as he looks at you and goes, "Oh, all right, that's not what I meant. All right, I understand. You know about as much as a rock. Okay."
Fungus just tilts his head to the side, not understanding, and then goes back to walking.
Man, he's useless, as he turns back and goes to talk to the other frost giants that are still kind of looking about the site. As you head back into the camp, they seem to stay behind, still investigating and looking at things. As you return back to the rest of the party, Eider, Kez, Ned, and Dom, as you lot are working about the tent, kind of going from patient to patient, running about, give me a profession healer or doctor if you have it. If you don't, heal checks for the rest of you.
Do I need to make a check if it's
Yes.
literally just trying to do magic?
Yes,
Not a
because you've
normal
got
Do
check.
I make a check if I'm helping, or does Kez get advantage?
nope, it's still a check in this case.
Question. What would you say would be better in this situation? Profession healer or profession doctor? Because I have both.
I will take either. That's on you on which one you want to roll. You'll get different
Which
results
feels
depending
luckier?
So it might
yeah,
just
right?
be a main wisdom roll then.
on. Yeah.
21 profession doctor.
Okay.
15 wisdom.
Okay. 14 on the heal. And Eider.
Could I do knowledge anatomy?
Why do you have knowledge anatomy?
I have all
You
knowledge
get
just because of fucking bullshit.
Is that an actual knowledge? Hold up.
There is a
He's studied.
There's like a level 1 feat that gives you knowledge, like gives you all knowledge.
I know that, but I didn't know I don't think there's a knowledge anatomy anywhere. No.
Well, so like specifically, like it would be like basically the identification of a monster, roughly speaking, because like that gives you like anatomical knowledge of it. And, like, and like the further like the more studied, learned you are, etc. The higher class you'd end up being.
Usually that's split amongst dungeoneering, like psionics, religion, and the planes, because that kind of comes down. You can also say nature if you want to go into that. Actually, would be more of the case. I'd take a knowledge nature if you want to try for that.
Sure, it's usually based off of the creature's type, just as an aside. But yeah, I've got nature.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. I just don't see anything in my listing for anatomy. That's why I'm, if you've got something to show me where you found something, I'm down to see what they've got for DCs and listings later.
I just have a flat 12 because I rolled like shit.
Okay. As you lot go about working, each of you in turn trying your best to help where you can. It takes about another hour's worth of work before the tent finally comes to almost a stable place. To where you feel comfortable enough that you can walk away as bodies stop coming in, people stop finding themselves damaged, and as you lot look about the tent, you do notice many of the members in the group seemingly, many of the people who are injured don't seem to have slashes from talon, like claws or marks from these creatures. As you notice looking about them, their wounds almost look to be black and festering. Ned and Kez, you both managed to figure out these wounds seem to almost be permanent, meaning that they do not seem to heal. However, they do stop bleeding and they do stop causing continuous damage. Kez, as you look about this, everything in here screams undead and fiend from your medicine practices, as this is a common thing for the fiends to use amongst their weapons on the Gloom, and are one of the few reported advantages the nation has over many of the others. Undead are commonly known to use some stuff like this too, according to the books and the few research that you would know about. Looking about it, your sense is going off like crazy though for sense undead.
I don't like this one bit. Let me see something really quick. Lesser restoration ain't gonna do anything here.
As you got an idea, Kez?
No. Me looking through my divine spell book, you know,
flipping pages.
Shit. You can move on for me.
Kind of like pry into like Kez like flipping through his book, like
he does look to be looking at his spell books and like his notes of what the spells do. A little holy book of sorts with like a little note section in the back for it that he keeps. As you look over, you see him kind of looking at lesser restoration. Says does not fix permanent wounds. And it's like a big red like highlight over it. Cure wounds does not fix undeath.
Admittedly, Cure Wounds does technically fix undead, because it fucking kills them.
It does damage, I think, undead.
It does, because it acts as a poison effect. But as you look about, kind of looking over at him, Dom and Ned, even between the two of you kind of seeing this, it's not hard to tell. These people aren't healing no matter what Kez seems to do about it. Ned, as your herbs are going into the wounds, normally, while it caused pain and caused stinging for a lot of the victims, you're starting to notice the wounds that are darkened in color seem to almost be charred or numb to a point where that the exposed wound doesn't seem to be affected by any of the herbs you rub into it.
Mm-hmm. I'll, of course, gather the other, medics and doctors that have been working in the tents and relay the information of, the workings of these wounds, and those that have these marks, they're probably not going to be able to get back into the field.
Quick question, DM.
Mm-hmm.
Because the way that mind healing is it doesn't even have a type. Like, theoretically, it can heal undead even.
Mm-hmm.
Is it also just straight up being, like, canceled out as well?
The wounds do not seem to heal at all, correct?
Okay.
As you lot look about, as you kind of gather together, one of the medics from the flock comes walking over to you, an older-looking Snowbeard who kind of wipes his hands away with the blood off of them, and looks up at you a lot as he does so and goes, well, the only thing I can think of is this is something similar to a spell I've heard that the necromancers use called Seed of Undeath. Whatever's casting something like that, though, would have to be some ancient creature. There's only a few monsters that have the ability to cast it, and the few parts that come from them, they don't come cheap.
As he, like, mentions that, could I do, say, a spellcraft?
For?
The Seed of Undeath?
Sure.
29.
29. There's spells that have been rumored with names like that that were supposedly in research and development amongst the territories of Zurich and Blood's End, near your home territory for reference, Eider. But it's a theory. It's a spell and concept that has been written, but no one's ever been able to get it to work or cast. So while you've Brandon, understand the concept behind it. The magic shouldn't be possible. There's no one that has theoretically the ability in this age that should be able to cast to that level or that rank.
Gotcha. As I guess there's no like additional it does exactly kind of like what he's saying it does.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It's like uncurable wounds. It doesn't have like when you die something happens kind of thing.
For seeing death though, for a reference for what it does, yeah. So basically, for your own knowledge of how the spell in theory would work, supposedly the subject face briefly takes on a gaunt, pale look and a death's head rictus before returning to normal. The way this, if you're not familiar with the spell, as far as the actual ability of what it does, you plant a kernel of negative energy in a subject which is held in check by the positive energy inherent to the subject's own life force. Sea of Death does not, and in itself harm the subject. So should the subject die before the spell expires, however, it rises as a zombie 1 round later, as long as a sufficient corpse remains. So generally, from your own working knowledge, the spell is designed to basically bring back a bunch of people quickly after being killed. In theory, it's an ambush spell. It's a way to basically create a bunch of soldiers without having an army. By killing a bunch of people in one hit. Such as, like, maybe tossing a fireball in a giant tent full of people like this and watching as everyone rises up and starts attacking the living who survive. As you kind of suddenly look about. Yeah.
Let's spread out the injured real fast.
Shouldn't we worry about the ones that are all dead on the battlefield if that's the case? The ones that are currently dead?
They'd already be undead.
Wow.
The medic kind of looks up at you lot and goes, none of the men reported anything on the field that came back, but to be fair, none of the men we left out there were able to move. Not enough to come back, meaning. If I had to guess, as he looks about a group here, we got probably 30 that are gonna be dead before the sun rises. I'll leave 15, 20 of this that are gonna be still getting up.
Those that die, we're gonna have to burn their bodies.
We have to burn them before they die. As he continues to rub the blood off. Problem is, that's an evil deed, and my patron won't allow us to do it, so we have to let them turn.
I know. All right. Not unless you get consent from the dying to do so.
Hey, Kaz. You still have consecration.
Yeah, I should. Let me take a look. Yeah, I do have consecration, yeah. Yeah, you know what? I've said it. Alright, cool. How big's this tent?
About 60 feet by 60 feet, and about 40 feet tall.
You should totally spend one of your turn checks to give yourself a level boost.
Yeah.
To make it last even longer.
I'm going to tell I need to gather all of those that are the closest to death. Actually, hold on. Yeah, I need all of the patients that are the closest to death to be put within 20 feet of me.
The medic looks at you and goes, "Sure, why not? That's most of the ones that we have here in the tent, so you just want us to cram them in on you?"
I just start grabbing bodies.
Make sure they're still comfortable, but, yeah, it's a 20-foot radius, so 40 feet in diameter from me.
He nods and goes, "Alright, And looks about the few medics that are still standing that looked kind of half, barely, able to move, exhausted, poor, still sweating, and just pale. And goes, "You heard the man. Toss the bodies at him, and if he doesn't catch them, curse him for it."
No.
As
that's
they start
absolutely
immediately walking around and start grabbing bodies and bringing them over.
Yeah, don't fucking toss him. That's
I get ready to toss a body right as Kez says no. It's like,
Ned.
he was so convincing.
Common sense, Ned.
Oh my god.
I'm just listening to the man in charge over there.
As you lot begin, or as you lot kind of get to work, Sprungus and Frungus, we jump back over to you two. Sprungus, as you return now back to camp at this point, you see as Frungus is, I imagine at this time, just hanging around the wagon of the party where the fire pit has already been set up and just relaxing, watching people.
No, I did say I was going to. Sorry, this again was last session. After session, I guess. If it's like the other kind of thing that I did. I was going to whoever was fucking in charge here.
Okay.
And talking to them.
Okay. Alright, yeah, as you head further into the camp, Frungus, we'll jump over to you for a minute. You did see the large tent that, and have already met the leader before of the entirety of this expedition. Burr Woodwalker, an older frost giant woman who is known to be a bit of a loudmouth and a bit of a brute, also who seemed to be immune to your charm. Almost unnaturally so. She is the one who kind of pointed you in the direction towards this tent, or towards this wagon to join up with this group when you first arrived. As you start kind of heading towards her large tent at the front of the expedition, now that many of the people are settling down amongst the camp, those few still panicking amongst the flock and pack off to the side. But as you kind of find your way through, the guards at the front look at you for a moment and just kind of sigh as one seems to pull the tent open, and you see inside a table with a map on it, a couple of little wooden icons that she seems to be moving around as she's talking to what looks to be a dark scaled kobold. The two seemingly chatting and coming to almost an immediate stop as the tent flap opens. Burr looks up at you, her rather large figure being 22 feet tall, and about just as wide. She is nothing if not a mountain of muscle.
Word. Real quick, as I'm kind of entering, can I get any sort of sense on how she's immune to diplomacy?
It doesn't,
because it's not a charm effect. It
seems that
just
she
talking.
just doesn't like you, and there doesn't seem to be anything you've been able to do to convince her otherwise.
I go, "Thank you, boys," and slap one of the guards on the ass as I enter.
They don't seem to react, but seem to just stand there. As you walk in, Kazasi, the kobold, looking at you, and Burr immediately kind of standing up straight.
Hello. What fucking happened here?
Well, as Burr kind of looks at you and goes, "We got attacked by a rock, and my troops failed to do their job. Nothing to worry you lot about, as you seem to manage to have completed your this day. This isn't anything Regan Utham didn't expect."
Oh, interesting. Is he sending back up troops for the ones that fucked up so badly?
Maybe. It's not my decision to tell you what the Regan's doing, nor is it my privilege to understand what the Regan is thinking. As far as my understanding goes, our messenger went out this morning with a request for not only more troops, but also more food and supplies. Unfortunately, it should take another couple days before we'll hear back, if we hear back, as she kind of side-eyes Kazalsi with that comment and then looks back at you.
Ooh, side-eye. You're in trouble, little man.
You see a kind of a glare, and then almost as soon as the anger hits, a sigh and calming of the kobold.
I know. I have that effect on people. So, who are you in charge of again, little man?
The kobold looks up at you and goes, "The Black Hand mercenary group, the one who makes up the majority of our troops right now."
Ah, beautiful. Do you serve a god?
None that you need to concern yourself with.
I would just like to know. Please tell me.
And I'd like to know why you're bothering me in my situation.
Because I want to know if you serve a god.
He kind of pulls out a chain of a necklace, and you see a mark of a dragon on it. And he goes, "Closest thing I serve is the king's own sister. If you call that a religion, sure. Do I believe in an afterlife? No."
What's that symbol for?
It looks to be just a dragon. It does not recognize as any holy sigil, but it's if you want to give me a knowledge religion, you can see what you can figure out from it.
Sure. Oofta. 16.
Well, as you look it over, you're definitely sure it's not a religious symbol. As you kind of think for a second, there's only two dragon-like creatures you've heard. Like, now God's one that most people consider a cult and that you don't know the name of. But there supposedly are rumors that there's a dragon that's worshipped some great evil dragon. And then the other one is Queen Saphira, which would be King Movasi's sister, as you'd know.
Ah, interesting. Well, lovely day. I'll see you all tomorrow.
Burr looks at you and just shakes her head.
My brother.
Alright. As you walk out, you can't help but hear a little comment of, "Why are you bothering with that man from the kobold?" And you hear Burr retaliate almost immediately, saying it a little louder just to make sure you hear. "Because his father is very connected." As the tent flaps close behind you.
That's true. I love Daddy. I'll just kind of say to myself.
As you head back over towards the little the campsite with the wagon set up, seeing at this point Sprungus there with his three large rocks, huge rocks that he has kind of dragged back and seems to be at this point looking over, I imagine.
Preparing for them, and yeah,
getting the knife ready, trying to figure out what angles to go at, what the best way to keep as many of the parts as possible.
Old Sprungo, did you find us some meals?
Meal, parts for me to craft with.
Ooh, what you gonna make?
Unsure. Fashionable cloak for you.
Oh, yes, thank you. These clothes are so drab.
Looks down, there's no clothes, last I remember.
A little.
Yeah, I have, like, ragged fucking cloth pants.
Oh, good to hear that you are wearing at least cloth pants. I thought you were full butt naked. I'm not gonna lie.
They're like fucking shitty, torn up silk pants, with like a nice little necklace. That's all I'm wearing.
Got you. As you two kind of sit down at the fire, you see as the tent off in the distance starts to glow. As we jump back over to Kez, as the bodies are kind of put next to each other, one after another, kind of as close as they can, but be at a certain point, some of them being stacked on top of each other just to make it so that they can fit within the circle. The group finishes up getting them set up, and the old medic looks up at you and goes, Alright, well, please tell me we didn't just make this weird macabre circle to make you a happy cleric.
No. So first, I'm gonna burn one of my turning checks to get a a +4 casting level added to the consecrate spell. So that's going to cover this area for the next 16 hours.
Yeah.
Okay.
In which undead cannot be created.
Oh! Okay. Now my question is, so that doesn't heal them.
No, this is essentially if they do die while they're in this consecration zone, they will not become undead.
Okay.
So this is the way to keep them from turning upon death, so they can be dealt with after perishing here.
Alright. As you begin to get to work, a glow begins to kind of come over the tent. The bodies begin to almost become a light source themselves as each begins to glow. You watch as slowly about 2/3 of the bodies begin to... You hear the quiet, expired gasps from them as Kez stands there continuing his casting. As they do, the sounds of their voices kind of going quietly. It's almost... a peaceful sound to you, Kez, as you listen on. None of them seemingly reawakening as you look about, watching as this continues on. About 1/3 do seem to survive and begin to pull through, though.
All right, so, and it's these guys are likely to not perish from their injuries anytime soon.
Correct. Their injury is still permanent, from what you can tell, but seem to be not dying from them.
Gotcha. They'll live, but the other guys... Alright, cool. So they won't come back. That's the goal.
As this begins, the medic kind of just stares and just goes, "We did all that just so they won't... And here I thought you were some hero." As he kind of glares at you and just kind of turns, sighing and walking away. But as you're left out...
Fine. I'll go. Shit. Next time I won't help. God damn. You want them all to come back and kill everyone else? Sure, fuck. I'll let it happen next time. For the love of fucking God.
Kez raising his hands in annoyance in the back as the Snowbeard walks off, grumbling and angry with his medics.
Bro's mad that he couldn't do it himself.
I just turned to Kez and kind of try to pat him on the thigh, basically. It's like, you did good. I don't think we could have done much more for him.
I definitely know I couldn't. I don't... Listen, I might be a cleric, and who knows if there's any more of, my god's clerics that are a high level of mine, but I can't do too much at my current strength. I did what I fucking could.
I think he's just mad he couldn't save him.
Shit happens.
I've seen you be mad you couldn't save a life too, Chris.
Yeah, but I never insulted somebody else because I couldn't do the job.
I'm not saying you wouldn't be a prick.
I need a rest.
As Kez kind of pulls himself around the bodies and kindly tries to move them aside, helping getting many of them back to their beds and set back up. You lot kind of start to feel the night coming. With the sun already setting by the time, or already set by the time you get out, the glows of the campfire kind of going about the whole camp. You can see in the distance Sprungus. Finally finishing the last of his knife sharpening practice and work. All of his tools looking to gleam from the fire he has going as his cooking utensils are all set out. Even from where you're standing, you can see the 3 large avian-looking creatures that seem to be set off to the side. as you lot head back to the camp.
Yeah, I'll give them a look over and interest because they seem to be an oddity by all means.
Yeah, as you look over them, you see as you all walk over the three clear, large birds that look to be rocks from what you can tell. You'd guesstimate, even from an immediate look, there's probably 300-400 pounds of meat on those things. You're going to eat real well tonight. If the meat's good.
Tastes like chicken.
Yep, that's... Sprungus. Sorry, I was looking down my name list here.
Yeah.
Give me a... I assume it's a craft cooking.
I do have craft cooking.
It is craft. Is it cooking? I'm just making sure.
Oh, I have.
Okay, that
craft
works.
is take what you mean thing because they don't have a list.
Well, I just look in their list to make sure they don't have something specific. It never hurts to take a look. KF, no. Kobold fried chicken, no. We are not doing the KFC. We already have KF crab. No, we're not doing competing
Fungus is
brands.
going to retire from adventuring and start a restaurant.
Hey,
You
just
should.
double checking. Is this supposed? Are these supposed to be like the same creatures that supposedly inflicted the unhealable wounds?
You don't know. These, from what I mentioned, those wounds did not look like they came from talons. That's was
Look.
the one thing you mentioned with the heal
Look,
check
man.
about.
I'll be careful.
Okay.
I have, I think, a higher spellcraft than any of you. Don't worry.
I'm honestly very worried about that it was the smiling.
That's what I think.
The smiling crew, and that this was just their way of,
Extricate themselves
getting
and
out, getting extracted and shit like that.
I will say, Kez, just for your own knowledge, when you do, as you lot do head out of the tent, or head out of the medical tent, you do see the clear, like bodies being buried of members of the Pack of Smiles. Like there are members. Well, at least I wouldn't say you know that they're members but you do see the yellow cloaks that they're commonly worn as you see them being tossed in a group grave. About 3 of them from what you are able to count as you walk out. So, I don't know if that changes your mind in any way. I just figured I'd mention that as a little side note in detail.
I mean, to be fair, they're a sneaky bunch. I don't know what they're fucking up to, or what they were up
Could
to.
have done it before they died.
they don't seem like the kind that would stand highly on camaraderie. If they did, like there is like a non-zero chance that they either sacrifice people or just dress people.
Yeah,
with
they're also, at least we know their leader is very big on illusions and manipulation.
Mm-hmm.
Like we don't have enough to like make any conclusive thing, but like I'm not counting it out as a possibility.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Also, the Black Hand got split in 2, and there's some drama going on there. And it's not like the Black Hand's leader hasn't expressed wanting to kill everyone. So just throwing it out there.
Especially
a lot
me.
of sus people.
As you all
there's a lot
kind
of sus people at play.
Yeah, I imagine this is the discussion going around the fire as you lot are kind of talking, watching Sprungus kind of getting his knife ready with the last little bit of sharpening as he looks
Yeah.
at the burner.
I imagine Dom would, now that things are like quiet, it's just the group, and he's no longer like in the presence of like all these healers and dead people, dying people. We'll give Eider kind of like a rundown about the fight, and the Howling Dragon and the stuff with the tree spirit that almost had Kez kill himself, because that seems important to mention that's around.
Yeah, the tree
What?
did try to make me kill myself.
The fuck happened there?
It's basically
Yeah,
we went to find the body of the champion that died. On our way, the tree spirit that supposedly gave the kobold, the dragon, when it was in kobold form, said it gave him a power, but then he transformed. So I believe the spirit cursed him to be weaker. But upon entering, Kez heard it. We all heard it, and it was trying to get us to essentially kill ourselves. So there's something powerful lurking nearby.
Well, at least in that forest, I'm pretty sure it's whatever it is. If it is tree, like forest spirits, trees, they should be quite static, and hopefully they're not going to be moving around.
I also don't know how much we can believe from a dragon that was being deceptive towards us from the beginning, but there was also mention about some kind of magical weapon or artifact in a lake near Knighton, I believe, but that it was guarded by another female voice that would lure people to its death. So this is, if true, some kind of reoccurring thing around here.
Ladies and lakes distributing weapons as a means of governing power is no way to base any form of leadership. It's foolish.
Lightly slap Kez. It's fine.
Ader, why did you do that?
You were speaking pure nonsense. It seemed like you were delirious.
Listen, I feel like that does not deserve physical violence towards an ally.
It was a slap.
Have
It was a
you,
light slap.
Guys, have you seen if that circlet you got has any sort of powers or if it's just decoration? I'm curious about it.
Hold up. Let's check if it's cursed first.
It's been a long day.
Also, the
and-
raven figure, and I look at Ned. Have you looked at that, or?
I mean, a little, but not studied.
Or see what your staff has done fully after that bear incident?
All I know is that the champion of my deity is dead. And I'd rather not look into this right now, if you don't mind.
I just don't want you guys to be carrying cursed items. I know our name's Unfortunate Sons, but I would like us to not always have to be unfortunate.
Listen, this is. I'll take a look at it in the morning. We'll see what happens. Maybe I'll be get some message in my dreams or something. But I don't think it's time for me to wear this right now.
That just kind of nods.
I wonder if the Pack of Smiles is actually dead, or if at the very least the leader's missing, if Burr is still under her influence. She wasn't trustworthy before, but now I'm uncertain whether she can be trusted or if she's still a security concern.
I suppose we just keep doing what we're doing, just do our job and fight against whatever we need to fight against when it comes to it. I don't think we can really trust leadership right now.
No, definitely not. I was hoping better from her given her reputation, but despite her strength, she's clearly not that resilient in the way of mental influences. It'll be sad to have to break the news to Utham. I'm sure he picked her knowing she would be a good fit for the role, but what can you do? And he kind of like shrugs.
Yeah. Hey, Ned. Do you happen to have a spell that can send a animal messenger or something of that nature, or is you not there just yet?
I mean, I don't currently. It's not something that I can't have though.
Because if you are, I don't want to rely on a physical person to relay the information to Utham. Because who knows what's going to happen? The messengers might not make it. I'd rather have some assurance that Utham would get the information about what's going on here. If that makes sense to everyone.
No, if I had a better way to contact Utham myself, I would do it. I don't trust for a second either the loyalty of the people employed here right now or the likelihood that messengers won't be targeted. I mean, whoever did this clearly had it out for us. It wasn't like this was a natural occurrence.
Like this because it's the Black Hand, right? That's the mercenary group. That's large,
Yeah,
right?
Black
Yes,
Hand
that's
and
the name.
whatever the new
The smaller
subgroup
one you
is.
heard the name of was the Small Hand.
Please tell me they're led
Again,
by
I
halfling.
wonder.
Huh?
N-
No, Dom already caught that they're led by Kazasi's nephew, or from what they were able to
Yeah.
gather, Kezasi Jr.
I wonder if the name was chosen by the leader or his nephew, because calling them the Small Hand is kind of insulting, since it's his nephew running it.
Take
Well,
my strong hand.
because I mean, well, they're opposing sides, right?
Amongst the group,
Well,
yeah, it seems to be. It's a small squad,
they-
though, from what they were able to find
They
out.
seem to be in disagreement, but we have no reason to believe that their motives aren't the same. It's just the way they run things they don't agree with. Dom doesn't believe for a second that we can fully trust the Small Hand to be good, and he would
Well,
make that known.
We have met with all of the leaders of the other groups. Maybe it's only right to talk to the leader of the new mercenary group.
I can approach them under the pretense of wanting to see if they need assistance and attempt to work out some information. I haven't done much other than stand around and hand you tools and observe the chaos, so it would be nice to do something I can do for once. This healing thing's not my forte.
Well, if anything, I think it should at least be leader to leader. What do you think?
Well, Iter, do you want me to escort you over?
I gotta sigh, get up, yeah. I haven't been doing as much as the rest of you lot. But a fair, relaxing evening before the. I just gesture to the destruction throughout the camp.
If you do the introductions and ramble, I could focus attention on seeing if they're being truthful, and then I'll step in where needed if things get a little socially tense, yeah? And I kind of lean down and pat his shoulder, and then stand back up.
Just you say it about with people.
I don't think you're bad with people, but I think your propriety for bad things happening to you is rather high. Remind me again who has a bounty on their head still?
Invite Small Hand for meal.
They already took food from us. Might as well make it a formal thing. Could get them on our side if we're trying to get some kind of allyship.
Just gotta nod, just flash a smile. This one just says, "Thanks for a great idea. Appreciate it."
He'll just nod, and he'll toss you a single talon, is what he's decided.
All right.
Look at you getting freebies.
All right. As you lot go, it's gonna be Eider and Dom that are gonna head off to the other camp to try and get Kazasi Jr. or Kezasi Jr. My apologies. All right. Ned and Kez, you are going to relax back at the camp and watch as food is prepared, I assume.
Yep.
Ned in horror, of course, as the bird's being cut up.
Yeah, while I'm polishing and preparing jewelry for the next gift episode.
I was about to say, if you leave it at polishing, I have a lot of questions. But alright. Alright, you two begin to kind of relax at camp, watching as Sprungus begins to go to work, prepping the meat, getting it put together, getting a meal kind of stirred up as he breaks out a big cooking pot and begins to work. Dom and Eider, as you walk over to the other camp, you do see that the Black Hand camp has set itself up pretty tightly. Much of its roughly 250-ish members seems to be kind of almost all around each other. On the outskirts and closest towards your camp at the southern end of it, you do see the smaller black kobold that you recognize Dom as the one that everyone kept calling Kezasi Jr., the Small Hand.
Mm-hmm. I'll point him out to Eider as we approach.
As you two kind of get closer towards him, pointing him out, you do notice he is surrounded by about 12 other, what looks to be kobold kin. All of them look to be a mix of like drake kin of some sort. Being they don't have wings, but they seem to be larger and stronger than the Kezasi himself. Kezasi being also a black scaled dragon kin. From what you can tell, though much younger and leaner by first appearance. He seems to have a good amount of scars as you get closer and see even his leather armor that he seems to wear looks to be well worn and used. None of his equipment looks new. If you had to guesstimate, this person has a good amount of experience, probably same as your own level.
I think seeing so many kobolds, Dom's eyes kind of narrow. And he looks a little displeased, but then he'll kind of like put himself together to appear like neutral and friendly or approachable as we get closer. There's kind of just like a brief sneer, like.
As you look about, or as you guys get closer, getting close enough to approach, a black scaled kobold looks to be kind of larger than most of the others, though he doesn't look to be of a drake kin. He actually does look to be kobold in race, having very little to any very draconic features. No wings, no bulk, no massive muscles. He's just large in general, standing about 6 feet tall in comparison to his brethren, and seemingly having a long mouth, dark black scales, and everything almost seemingly pitch black, 2 bright green eyes as he looks at you. His armor looks to be quite roughly worn and tarnished as he looks up and stops you and goes, "Are you trying to see the small hand?"
Yep.
State your name and business.
Eder Frosthorn, here to see about, well, y'all not need any assistance. We got hit hard today, and friends are better to come by after such trying times.
You see as Kezasi Jr. kind of looks over and smiles and kind of waves to the guard as he looks back. The guard steps aside, letting you through. As Kezasi Jr. sits down at the fire, a little bit of a smirk, his teeth all looking to be capped with bits of silver as they seem to sparkle in the sunlight. As he surrounds himself, you notice about, in total, the roughly now 12 members that seem to kind of sit around the other logs at the fire. Many of them, now as you kind of take a minute to look at them, look to be well equipped. Many of them having weapons that seem to glow or have arcane runes on them. Their leather armor is very worn. Many of them looking like they seem to have experience in battle. As Kezasi Jr. just kind of smiles, ushering you to one of the logs to take a seat.
Yeah, like wandering over and
looks at you and kind of waits for a second, staring at the fire. As after a moment goes, "So what is the unfortunate sons wanting with little old me? You looking to get in the middle of our little feud?"
trying to get a bit of a lay of the land. Things got rather disorganized, and I like to make friends while friends are able to be had.
Not.
It is a little weird. You weren't introduced as a group, and now you are a proper group. So we are curious what occurred, but we are here to be friendly.
Even if you weren't, you wouldn't make it out of the camp. I mean, your friend, the big one who can cook really well, which, by the way, thank you for the meat. He might be able to stand a chance. Same with the tiny one that manages to seduce anyone he sees. The two of you, I don't know. I'd give you very low odds of walking out of here if you cause problems, so I figured there's nothing to lose in this situation. But to your question or your comment on what's going on, how familiar are you with the Aussie clan?
Want me to roll a knowledge real fast?
I'll take knowledge
Yeah.
nobility or knowledge history.
That's what I'm thinking. I'll probably have to roll for Dom as well.
Flat 20.
Flat 20, and is that
Would
nobility
I
or
be able to?
history?
I guess
my-
ability.
Okay, nobility. Alright, good. Dom?
Would my squire profession apply anything, like helping Utham in court briefly in the past?
I'll take squire as your,
This?
yeah, I'll take a profession squire. It'll be it's gonna be like knowledge nobility in that situation. You're gonna be going based on what you know in your book from the books and the research Utham's made you do.
Hell yeah, homework.
Sounds like you don't do homework very often.
No, but it also sounds like I have another set of dice to burn.
Oh no.
6.
Yeah, Regan Utham wasn't very big on teaching you the Draconic Houses, as he never had intentions to go to war, deal with many of them. Besides the king himself, there wasn't really any interest to Utham himself and dealing with the situations over there. So much of the research you are given more focused on the giant politics. Not much of it you remember about this group. The Aussie clan, roughly what you know as you hear that name, I mean, it's the same as the sound of Movasi. As you kind of think for a second, and the way it sounds and spelled, it makes sense that means these are probably related to the king in some way. Either, with your role, as you take a second to think, thinking back on it, the Aussie clan is one of the more notorious clans that seems to be a not a proper dragon clan. Dragon clans being split by type of dragon, meaning battle dragons stick with battle dragons, obsidian dragons stick with obsidian dragons. Cats and dogs do not lay in the same bed with one another, basically. The Aussie clan is one of those few dragon clans that seems to not stand by that and seems to have multiple branches of it, of different types of dragons, mixtures, and has some of the most notorious bastards amongst their ranks. A few that have made a name for themselves as mercenaries and such in the past. One most notably that you would know is that Corix was rumored to be one of the bastards of the House of Aussie. And many still to this day believe that due to some of the histories between the two. From what you'd be able to know about these, as you kind of think about these two, it wouldn't be uncommon for very much every Aussie member that wasn't an heir, or wasn't Movasi or his direct heirs to leave if they wanted to gain any nobility or notoriety. It is also common that the Aussie members do not like each other. Everyone wants to be in charge, no one thinks anyone else should be in charge, kind of idea.
Yeah. I kind of mull it over in my head and say, what kind of seem to value who's strongest, from what I recall.
He nods, and then goes, yes, basically, me and my uncle don't like each other much because we don't think we disagree who should rule over this group. And now that I have come of a position, I think that it's time that we split the hand, but he disagrees. I think 2 hands are better than 1. He says a small hand doesn't deserve any rights over a larger hand. The joys of politics. But I digress. Yes, it is correct that we are splitting, and then there's a potential of a inner civil war between the two of us before the days go out. But I don't think you lot could be of any help to me, unless you know something I don't.
Truth to tell, no. And not to put it just plainly, I think our interests more lie to actions inside of the camp. I would hesitate to make an enemy of you or your clan on either side. That and there doesn't seem to be any love lost with your uncle and our group to begin with.
That's
Prefer
true.
to let sleeping dogs lie.
Oh, that's unfortunate, as you're already on my uncle's radar. As he looks at you, Eider.
I just kind of shrug and
We
say,
are aware
Greg's
of
Mars
that.
himself likes me. I can't. You stop paying attention to your enemies after a certain point. With the
Yeah,
amount of that can just kill you in his thought.
You're James's, brethren, right? James Frosthorn, Treasurehorn, something of the sort?
Yes, he's my cousin.
Your cousin killed my father.
I'd apologize, but I know the way your clan works. That may not be the worst thing.
There's no love lost. Don't get me wrong, I barely knew the man. He took off and made deals with Blackbone Og before I could even walk. But my issue is more the fact that a dear friend of mine was put to death at his hands. A man I was raised with, and his son was kidnapped, apparently, by your cousin, as you called him. So if you might understand, there's a little bit of a issue between me and you and our brethren here, as he looks over at Dom and goes, and I'm not gonna lie to you. The Aussie clan has been given full jurisdiction to kill Regan Utham and any Grunaga. We've been told that we'll be paid quite well if we do so, but I imagine the Grunagas probably say the same for any Aussie member. Well, at least the ones that matter, as he kind of jokes, as the rest of his men around him kind of giggle at that.
Dom kind of chuckles. Utham's got bigger sights and goals than political feuds, rest assured. Also, not to speak on either's behalf, but given the trouble his cousin has caused us, I don't think we're exactly too keen on defending him or his actions. I'm certainly not, so unless Aiter decides to become a die-hard clan man and defend his cousin's honor, you won't get any issues with us in regards to that.
He kind
He
of
wronged you, and he's wronged you. You take actions on him. He kind of shrugs and then looks at Aiter to see what Aiter does, I guess.
I just kind of like shrugs and nods and says, "Dwarf's honor is his own to defend. If you do something underhanded, it's different. But if you have a legitimate grievance, it's between the two of you to figure it out."
We don't want to, I suppose, step toes on you and your uncle working things out. I mean, you seem to be running a rather good ship. I don't think you need our help. But, like I just said, we are in the business of making friends. Given so many low numbers now and perhaps conflicts of interest in regards to the expedition, scratch my back, we scratch yours type deal, eh? Doesn't have to be anything so fancy as being friends, but being good co-workers, I'd say.
Give me a diplomacy check.
I was waiting for it.
As you
Oh,
kind of
fuck.
see
Where's
him
my
mulling
good
it
guy?
over in his mind for a moment. Also, while Dom rolls that, quick question, Kez, when you say Americlan, when you talk about American cheese, or did I fully misinterpret that?
Amar.
Oh, never mind. So, no. I got you. Okay, now it makes sense. Okay, my brain clicks. You know, it's funny, you haven't found out where he is yet.
Yeah, I know. I'm surprised I haven't really heard of anything about the Amar clan running around.
Right. I do have cheese on the mind. Alright, what'd you roll?
Throw the king's head.
I got 19.
19.
Finally a decent fucking roll.
You
They
kind
only
of,
consistent dice.
you see him kind of mulling the idea over in his head. He looks amongst his men and kind of looks up at you and goes, "So you're talking numbers. Your idea is that, you know, like me, you don't have numbers at this camp. We camp up together, and if anything happens, we fight back. We defend each other's back. No promises of shared profits. We keep our money to ourselves. And supplies-wise, I mean, my men will be asking for some of the your food if you don't mind, but we'll happily pay for it."
You see Dom kind of like get a bit of a grin and nod. Precisely. Separate, we don't have much power man-wise in numbers, and not much power in making decisions or votes compared to bigger groups that could bully us out. But together, well, let's say you and your uncle have a conflict of interest. We have an agreement. We take your side. Easy. I expect with things shaken up, the state of the expedition is going to be unsteady, and people with ulterior motives are going to make moves to undercut the rest of us. We can just ensure we don't get fucked over, and otherwise we do what we've been doing, tending to ourselves. We're just here to get the expedition done. We're not here for any blood feud, honor, pettiness. I mean, obviously I serve in Utham's name, but I'm not here to make a big show like a peacock around these parts. Just want to get the job done.
Kazossi kind of looks over at Eider and goes, "You've got a good diplomat for your group, I see." And he kind of gives a raised eyebrow.
Oh, Dom's indispensable.
Never seen a snowbeard and a frost giant, or a fire giant get along so well. Huh. Alright. Well, I've got not many options. You've got yourselves a deal. Me and my 35 men will, Well, 34 now. We'll come along with you. We'll move our camp over, and given the current situation, I'll see what information I can dredge up for you lot. Kind of holds out his hand towards Eider and Dom.
I'll let Eider shake first, as leader.
I like get up, dust myself off, and like lean forward, make contact, shake his hand.
As you do, he kind
I'll
of
do the
smiles. He takes your hand as well, Dom, and smiles and goes, "Alright, man, you heard we're actually gonna eat well now." As you hear many of his men come out from the tent behind his little campfire and log come out like excitedly as they start grabbing and pulling up stuff. You do start to hear some grumbling also coming from around you from other members of the Black Hand that are kind of set only a few feet away that haven't joined up with this faction. You are getting dirty looks amongst the group.
Well, they already wanted to kill us, so I don't give a shit.
Dom makes like not a loud, but just an obvious proclamation to anyone eavesdropping, because he's not exactly being stealthy, just kind of quiet. Yes, we meant to lead with it, but you are invited to just come join us at the camp. We're cooking food now, and should have plenty of space, and bring your own plates. We have the meat. See to it that our friends are fed. And kind of throws Kazasi Jr. a bit of a wink, and then looks like side-eyes the Black Hand to see if that kind of pissed them off or not.
You notice the members amongst the guild or the Black Hand that aren't kind of cleaning up their stuff seem to be giving glares towards, and there's more grumbling. You hear the words traitor and a couple of the men starting to gather up their weapons as you do start to notice some of the camp is moving about. Kazasi Jr. Looks at you, Dom, and Eider, and goes, "I think you lot better retreat in case this turns bloody. I don't want you guys getting surrounded in our circle. I don't know how you fight."
I have no plans to break the rule about killing or attacking other expedition members, so I'm more than happy to leave. Eider? Is our business concluded?
Yeah, I just like nods and like gums on. Just like, stew will be cooking whenever you get there.
I will.
As you two start kind of backing away, he watches. He pulls a wand and a dagger, and kind of looks about as his men start to really quickly gather up. You see him start barking orders in Draconic to get moving as the troops hop to. As you two kind of find yourselves backing away, give me spot checks, both of you.
Yes, definitely. We are in the shit now, but when aren't we, Eider? Truly, when aren't we?
I got a 9.
Spot. I'm usually decent at these. Emphasis on usually. That will be 15.
15.
Still rolling bad.
As you two kind of start to look about, slowly find yourselves retreating out of this part of the camp, you do notice a few of the Black Hands seem to be walking alongside you on the other side of a row of tents, seemingly matching you as they do. At first you count 2, and then as you pass one tent, they disappear from sight. When they come back into the line of sight, there's now 3. This happens, it repeats again, now you see 5. And slowly the group is growing, it's kind of following and tracking you. You watch as Kazasi Jr. and a few of his other members kind of grab their banners, noticing that they have dyed them white and shrunken the hands down and are starting to kind of catch up to you lot, holding the sticks kind of in the way on either side of you lot. As you start walking through. Ned, Kaz, Sprungus, and Frungus, as you're sitting at camp, you start to notice a bustling begin on the other side of behind Sprungus as he's working away, preparing the meat, getting it all cut up and put into the pot and cooking. The smell of the stew kind of beginning. As you look on, you can see the Black Hand camp seems to be getting active. People are moving about, and Dom and Eider seem to be being followed by both 2 groups of what looks to be the Black Hand mercenary group. One that looks to be looking like it's following next to him, following them in about a row over from what you can tell from here, and the other that seems to be kind of getting on either side and kind of surrounding them.
Well then, I don't there might be a scrap. You ready for what's to come?
I'm always ready.
Mid.
And I'll
initiate.
use my my quarterstaff to help me get up.
As you pull yourself to standing and looking on, you watch as Kez kind of similarly, I imagine, stands up at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Frungus and Sprungus, are you guys doing anything as you see Frungus? You can see the kind of movement going on in the Black Hand camp. Sprungus, you see as your party is starting to just kind of stand and like eyeing something behind you.
Watch.
Okay.
If I have to step in, can you stir the stew?
Very important.
Of course, brother.
And I am going to touch Kez in the back and cast a spell, just because I want to see what Kez does.
Oh, fuck yeah.
I cast Animalistic Power.
Oh, shit. What does that do?
+2 to each physical stat.
Oh,
Oh
shit.
my god. I should have done that job, make me actually physically strong.
You're out of reach!
You are out of reach. As Kez begins
You don't have like a 15-foot reach?
Kez, your body starts to expand. The muscles seem to grow and tighten a little bit more. Your eyes seem to become sharper and more narrow as you're able to capture in more light. And almost as if you're able to see more clearly amongst the camp, you start to catch every little movement amongst them as you feel your survival instincts go from 1 to 11 almost immediately.
Oh, yeah.
Show them you're not weak.
Alright, I'll certainly... we're gonna go ahead and get my hammer charged. I'll take my hammer and slam it against my shield, igniting the lightning coming from it.
This buff will last 7 minutes.
As we're approaching the group, can I whoever the closest Black Hand member, like the one that looks like to be nearest to Dom, designate my dodge bonus?
Okay.
So my AC, I don't think I'll get it if I'm flat-footed, but if I get my regular AC, I'll just have like a +1 against any attack from them.
So you
Just because
just
Dom's like
anybody gets
anticipating
close.
combat.
Okay.
Yeah, he's anticipating dodging, like ducking, like he's anticipating a fight.
Okay. Yeah, as Kez and Ned, as you kind of stand up, Kez, this morph transforming you, feeling a shift in your body as everything seems to kind of strike up, your adrenaline pumping, the lightning exploding as it kind of hands off your shield, striking into the ground, sparking a little bit. The entirety of the camp, at the sound of the roar of thunder, turns your guys' direction, including the black members of the Black Hand and the Small Hand, and stops. The sounds of birds kind of rushing off after being spooked in the sky kind of is the only thing that is heard for a few moments.
It appears a group of salamanders has come to fight.
You see some of the Black Hand kind of members as Dom and Eider get to the very edge of the camp and kind of are now within eyesight of you. The Black Hand that we're following them kind of seem to stop and look amongst themselves as you say this. Give me an intimidation roll, please.
Alright, let's see. What is mine? Alright, I've got a +5. So let's see.
You have a +9 because you're large.
Oh,
Size
that's
gives
very nice.
Yep.
Alright.
+9 to intimidation for being large?
Large gives a +4, so on top of this +5.
Oh, +4. I'll need to make note of that for my intimidation.
So that is a 26.
26. You watch as they seem to kind of pause, and many of them kind of hold their weapons just standing there waiting to see if anybody's like, someone's brave enough to be the guy to step forward first, as no one
Take the first hit!
As you shout this once again, the sound of thunder roaring in the distance, you see members begin to kind of sheathe their blades and back away from the edge of camp. The Small Hand members kind of pulling their banners and now flagging them up as they follow Eider and Dom back over to your camp. You watch as in total 35 members kind of come walking out of this large camp.
Does Kazasi Jr. seem impressed or irritated by Kez's display? I think Dom would
Give me a
want
sense
to see
motive.
how our new ally. Yeah, I think our. Hey, I'm not the one asking for one. No, I think Dom is curious how our new ally took that, as if a show of like display of like strength of our group, or if he's like, ah, these assholes yelling at my brethren. That is my sense motive's good. A 16. Still rolling.
16.
My sense is good.
As you kind of look back at Kezasi Jr.'s face, he looks to be more concerned, and you see a little bit of fear in his eyes as he looks over at Kez as he says this, or shouts this out loud, the thunder roaring seemingly to snap his attention up to the skies. It's not hard to tell. There's fear in his eyes, and you can definitely tell he seems to be looking back at the camp like he's just made a very bad decision.
I think Dom, as the group's approaching to kind of put Kazasi Jr. at ease, and also potentially Kez goes, friends, our new friends and cohorts have come to officially camp with us. Kazasi Jr., this will be our magnificent healer and soldier Kez of Ella Ugbo, and our splendid man of nature, and not to underestimate a good fighter as well, Ned of, well, I'm not sure what the group he falls under now, but regardless. We also have Sprungus and Frungus, our newest temporary members who've come to join us for aligned goals, you could say. And kind of like slightly diplomatically do introductions to kind of ease any tension that the small hands might be feeling.
Kind of unfortunate I didn't get to fight, but with this spell, thank you, Chaston, for that. That was pretty cool.
Hunter, I'm gonna tell you, I have 6 spell slots for 2nd level. I'm
Fuck
not.
Yeah, we'll see what if it comes up again. That'd be so.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm gonna make sure I'm near Sprungus if another fight breaks out.
Yeah. So essentially, after that's all said and done, I'll clip my hammer back to my belt, open my arms in welcome to the small hand, and say, "Welcome, new friends. Come and let us share a meal together."
Give me a diplomacy roll for that.
Can I do can I apply like aid because I was doing introductions?
Yeah, don't worry. I'm keeping that no count.
Hell yeah.
Sadly, diplomacy
Hell yeah.
bonus.
That is
It's situational.
31.
As you say this, you see he visibly seems to relax, as if the fear of you going to potentially eat him it seems to kind of be clearly spewed on his face as he kind of looks between you and Sprungus's knives, as they seem to magically glide against the rock as he's cutting it apart. He kind of looks about the camp as he relaxes and goes, "Not gonna lie, for a second there, I thought we were about to die." Kazasi Jr. of the Small Hand Mercenary Company now, as he looks back at his members, who all visibly still look a little shooken by the situation, though not like they're gonna run, still though a little concerned in their eyes. He kind of continues and goes, all I ask is you don't sleep with my men, as he looks over at Frungus.
All of them?
Preferably.
Oh.
Don't worry, Frungus. I'm sure
Some of them are really
of,
hot.
There's a lot of probably upset Black Hand members you could go console, I'm sure.
Oh, don't worry. I intend on it.
Ned will.
Go ahead, Ned.
Are you done, Frungus?
Oh, I'm good, yeah.
Ned will also shake his hand and go, "Well, you know, there are things that having small hands are good for."
Oh my god.
Oh, my poor.
You see
That was
Kazasi
raunchy even for me.
Jr. just pales.
Rungus is confused.
I just shove a fucking bowl of soup into this fucking man's hands.
He does not think of the implications. He's good-natured. His Dom's kind of like sighing a bit, but it also looks a little amused.
Uh-huh.
We talked
Who
about
wants the first bowl of stew?
I think the leader of our new friends should have the first bowl.
I was gonna say Eider did try and just immediately grab a
Yeah.
bowl and just shove it into his hands. He's just holding it, still looking about, and a lot of you a little
I
pale.
mean, I feel like maybe as a show of goodwill, our leader takes the first sip. Perhaps if there's a concern of ill play.
I more imagine like a food line. They come up with an empty bowl and I just pour it and move on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see. Like, these people are mercenaries. They don't give a shit about ceremony. The
Welcome
second
to
thing to a
Strongest
mercenary besides goal is their filelli.
If you didn't bring a bowl, cup your heads. That wasn't in character.
Say to bring bowls.
I had to say that.
You see as the camp slowly kind of starts to move as he looks back at still pale and still kind of like side glancing at Frungus every once in a while. Like every time he does, you see him go bright red as he looks away immediately, just trying to contemplate.
Oh.
As the camp, he kind of starts barking out orders. His group begins to set up camp off to the side as they grab bowls. Many of them sitting down, kind of moving a lot their tents, kind of unwrapping everything. As they begin to get themselves ready, Kezasi Jr. kind of comes and sits with you a lot as his group sets themselves up and looks about your camp and goes, "So, now that introductions are over, what's your plan to survive the expedition? You know that messenger's not getting back, right? There's no way Regan Utham's ever going to see him."
Definitely not. I have
Well.
zero faith.
No.
I'm hoping
Well-
that Ned here is able to send an animal messenger.
Don't we only need to last like a week until we get to Knighton?
That's
True. City will have a means of us contacting the Reagan directly. I do have concerns in regards to some threats we found while we were out. And Don kind of looks to the group to kind of assess whether or not we trust giving these guys all the info or not.
Might as well.
I'm gonna like give like a subtle shake of my head, but
Okay, I think Dom sees Kez's like nonchalance and I just caution and will decide to just give them information in regards to there being like archers and there being a dragon, but we'll opt out of mentioning the forest spirit or like the champion who died or the druid. Like leave the personal matters, but basically mention we had a kerfuffle, so there's likely to be bandits or other enemies placed, and our group should likely take turns like being on guard or like scouting areas.
It kind of nods as you go over it, and seems to take most of it in as you continue on. As he looks amongst your camp, he kind of takes a minute and goes, "Well, if that's the case, we've got. If there are bandits already being found around here, there are kobolds. That probably means that the city's not as set up as we thought. Usually don't get bandits of dragonkin this far south. Most of them will stay over either in the kobold territories due to the nicer weather, or stay back in the home territories of Krikak." It kind of takes a second as he rubs his chin, kind of setting his bowl down, and goes, "My guess is that means that they're probably scouting for someone and looking into it. The only thing I know as far as it goes is there's rumors of potentially new dragon lords rising up, but no cemented facts that I've seen. Many people have talked about a howling dragon of sorts gaining power, would be my best guess."
Are any of the nobles traveling the expedition like likely to be targeted by kobolds? Would Dom like know just based off like his knowledge living in Utham's kingdom, like if any of these weak guys we've got with us are like actually high priority, or are they just like typical common nobles?
Give me a knowledge nobility amongst for it.
Can I use Squire again?
Sure, I'll take it.
Sprungus
Hell
looks
yeah.
at himself, knowing he is technically giant nobility.
You are royalty.
are you giant comma nobility or giant space nobility?
Yeah, figure it out.
15.
15. As you kind of look about the few flags and banners you see, most of the those who are ranked amongst Utham's nobility are not nobility in the sense of what you'd traditionally see amongst the Draconic nations. Many of the giants consider nobles to be a rank of high blood, meaning you have you're related to one of the Storm Giant clans from the original families. And you basically are able to coast on life, or at least that's what you've seen, Dom. Most of them kind of build up shops, become influential members at court, but in the concept of what dragons call nobility, where they rule territories and can have their own cities, giants don't see the same mentality, at least amongst Utham's court. So, in short, these lot are basically courtiers, which would make them lower nobles, and shop owners, so like business owners. So high-end merchants who are, again, still going to be low-ranking noblemen.
Well, none of the courtiers and such traveling are of that much note politically. They could be taken hostage and for ransom, but, well, that would be stupid if they know what going up against Utham would imply. Utham himself isn't here, so unless Burr is a target or someone from one of the mercenary groups, I don't know who they'd be after here. They might simply want to cut us off so we can't establish the road, but that would assume they know the road's being crafted. Any thoughts? And I'll kind of like address the group.
Sorry, what were you asking?
Kind of just seeing everyone's ideas on like who, if anyone, the kobolds in Dragonkin could be targeting in the expedition. Like who would be a political target.
Well, don't they kind of just want to make sure the expedition fails?
That's my thought.
Kobolds don't like giant nobles, right?
Kizasi Jr. nods at that.
Yes.
Might try to kill Sprungus.
You see him kind of look at Sprungus up and down, and you see just a slight shake of his head and a sigh. It doesn't take a sense motive to read the look on his face of, God, I'd love to see a person try that.
Yeah.
I kind of cross my head, and I just go, might try to kill Frungus? Like, questioningly.
If he doesn't charm their pants off first, maybe.
I assume they might try to. I mean, somebody to take down, wouldn't they? They're very high up in the power structure, aren't they?
Kizasi Jr. looks at you and shakes his head no and goes, Burr's, from what I've gathered, is just a cousin of the main Woodwalker family. She's hated by the Regan. The only reason she probably got put in charge of the expedition is she's a capable warrior, and the Regan White are probably out of his court.
Yes, she's respected as a fighter, but politically and in diplomatic circles, she's not got much sway. Her and the Regan butt heads quite often. Her brother's a big fan, but I don't think that's going to save her or make her that big of a target, unless they simply want the leader of the expedition called, which is potential. They might also just be attempting to defend land that was once theirs and simply targeting anyone who comes by.
Just kind of like, Eder just kind of like shrugs and says, "Foolish allies worth 100 enemies. So, letting Burr stay in charge might be better for them."
Kizasi nods.
Without where the expedition's currently going, perhaps. And he kind of like huffs and takes a look again at kind of like the destruction that's been wrought.
I like kind of like nod at like just kind of like smirk. It's like yeah, I just like gesture over to the small hand leader and like, which is why I wanted to try and consolidate at least some power. this thing the attacks are unlikely to stop anytime soon. So, at the very least, having some help in camp is as likely
We
as we're going to
also,
get to surviving.
We have reason to believe there's a potential that the Pack of Smiles might not have been wiped out, might have fled or be in hiding. I'm not sure if that means they're a threat to you or even to us, but might be something to be on the lookout. If you interacted with them like we did briefly, they're a very shifty bunch. Seems a little convenient they all died so easily. We're kind of looking at Kasasi Jr. to see, and Dom is trying to determine with that kind of like line of questioning if he seems to like positive or negative to that. Like if I'm trying to determine if he was in basically cahoots with the Pack of Smiles or not.
Give me a sense motive.
Yes, my strong.
Wouldn't know. Smiley Pack people wouldn't let Sprungus talk to him. Kept running away from Sprungus.
Especially powerful, like when Ida blasted a hole through her chest and she was fine.
Kasasi Jr. just eyes go slightly a little wide at that. Looks over at Ida.
No,
It's okay. I'll handle Smiley Lady if it comes back.
Dirty 20.
Dirty 20.
As you look him up and down, from his body language, he doesn't seem to have any sort of reaction. At first, nothing on his face gives you a tell about whether he's involved. He doesn't seem to act surprised, but he doesn't seem to act like he's concerned. As he just kind of stares at you, kind of listening and watching as you lot talk. You've noticed he's not talking all that much, and just seems to be kind of listening to you lot talk as you go on.
Does Dom, with that Dirty 20 and like his body behavior, get the sense that he's still nervous, like fearful about joining us up with us, or does he seem to be like how Dom is, which is it's the smart decision to shut up and let people talk because that gets you the most information fast?
You're
or does he seem afraid, or
unsure.
does he seem kind of cunning?
His face seems to almost be like almost expressionless at this point compared to earlier, where his emotions were a lot clearer to read.
Hard to read scales.
He doesn't respond to the question, though, and just kind of looks about to see if anybody else does anything.
All the information Dom's willing to cough up. I ain't saying any more shit.
And gets up, like stretches for a moment, says, I think I'm going to head to bed. It's been a long day.
He nods and goes, my advice, make sure you keep a watch tonight. I don't know about you, but those bodies didn't look right in the grave from the members who wear those yellow cloaks. As he kind of stands up, handing the bowl back over to Sprungus, and goes, appreciate the meal, though.
When he leaves, can I lean over to the group, us, and whisper, did anyone check that the Pack of Smiles bodies didn't also have the marks that turn them undead?
No, but they're supposed to rise up immediately, but it's worth checking now.
Look at Kez.
The good news is the lucky card will keep us safe.
No rest for the wicked.
That's true. We just gotta pile up in the blue cart and we're all okay.
Alright, we would like to stealth in the lucky blue cart.
Okay,
Hide in the
explain this one to me.
Hey, hold on. I'm confused.
So here's what's gonna happen. Sprungus will put on a farmer's hat, right?
Sprungus puts on sunglasses with a little plastic mustache.
Overalls with no shirt on underneath, just the overalls.
Okay.
Is there a reason why we're disguising to go to a grave pit?
No, I thought we meant like sleeping in the cart would keep us safe.
I was joking. But no, I do definitely want to go check out the grave pit to actually double check on it. Because I don't suppose you have another consecrate prepared by any chance.
I mean, I've got like 3 more. Do we have any more powdered silver?
My fist can consecrate undead.
Do we have any more powdered silver?
Let me look. How much that would have
I have
cost
my silver
you.
gauntlets.
I thought we already turned those into powder.
No, we
No, we found other means, didn't we?
yeah,
I
we
don't
just,
recall. Yeah.
yeah, we just mined it out.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
we mined it. We can still use them if absolutely necessary.
So then I'll
let's
ask
see.
you,
Collect
do we
one
ha-
gauntlet.
Does anyone in their inventory have powdered silver? Because I used my last bit
I have
on that.
holy
whole
water.
concentration. Yeah, but you need holy water and.
I'm pretty sure you guys used every bit you mined already into holy water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't. I just
So
have my
isn't the
silver right
silver
here.
part of the holy water? Isn't it?
There,
in
it specifically states you need a vial of holy water and
Oh, okay.
You need
more
both.
silver.
Yeah,
just
the
need to
silver's
make it
mixed in
before
already
there's
for
one.
the holy water that he had, because that was the whole point of what he was doing beforehand, was creating a bunch of holy water. So, yeah, as you look about your camp, I mean, you know there are a couple, or the wizard, or well, wizard, sorry, elven scholar woman dresses like a wizard or an act of what you've seen many magic casters back at Velcomen. Lazari that you had met when you had come back from the dealing with the necromancer giant. Good try.
Yeah, she might have some roast. By the way, how far are we away from Lighten?
Roughly at this point, 3 days.
Okay.
Oh. Question.
Uh-huh.
Forgot to ask earlier. Did I think it's all of us but Ned at this point get any inkling of any of the small hand members having soul coins on them? I figured you'd alert us, but figured
Yes, I
might
would have
as well
alerted
ask
you if you had
in case.
seen or
Okay.
noticed anything. Yep. Nope. None of them do.
Just to make sure everything's cool in that department.
And you didn't. Neither of you got that spur when you were amongst the Black Hands camp either.
Oh, okay, that's good.
So yeah, I'm gonna go over to that pit, see if I sense any undead. If I do,
Oh, we're definitely coming with you, just in case.
Oh yeah.
yeah. If I do, start doing what I need to do. Actually, hold on. There's a spell I remember. It's what is it?
A spelly spell.
There's a.
A spell of spelling.
Is it a first level spell? It was a spell that you
That spells.
cast to prevent the dead from rising. It wasn't consecrate.
You can technically do gentle repose, but that's different. It's also single target. The consecrate is the one that is like the big one, but because it's an AOE, there's like a single cast version of it though, I think.
Sprungus, why are you listening to music in the background?
Is that Epic the musical?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Hell yeah.
Alright, listen, I don't mind if you're listening to it, but like, hey man, can't have it on the YouTube video, otherwise I get in trouble for that.
Yeah. Well,
You got taken down during
Well, but-
stream for it. Like, I don't even want to attempt that.
Fucking gross. Policy violation.
I don't want
Oh, I
to
was
date
there
this
for that.
stream, but for those wondering, a lot of us watched the Epic stream and watched it go down mid fucking second song of the new release.
The fact that it happened after that specific line was so funny, though.
Yeah, let me look for the thing, because I think that you're looking for a detect undead is what you're looking for, right? You're just trying to tell if there's undead around.
No, I can detect undead easy. I'm trying to find. I think it might be a level 1 clerical spell that it specifically states it prevents a body from rising from the dead. Yes, it's called Burial Blessing.
Ooh.
Let me see. Let me double check what it does.
Either I don't know how to spell burial.
B-U-R-I-A-L.
Yeah, for some reason it's not on my list.
Ooh, XP cost spell. Fun.
It is an XP cost spell. That's the only problem.
It's also
Oh.
a single corpse. Is the worst
Yeah,
problem.
I know. I'm just trying to figure out a way to stop the dead from rising, that doesn't include me needing to have silver that I don't have.
Kez
What?
standing there looking in his bag of holding, looking through his spell components, looking in his spell book, or his holy book. What's up, Dom?
I'll type in chat. You guys.
Because if I remember correctly, it was decided that XP is not a component until the next campaign, or is that just for crafting?
That's just for crafting.
Yeah, that one's not worth it.
Yeah, I'm doing that so that way, because it encourages players still to make their items. Are you willing to chance the level up you just got?
I say at that point we just drop
just
the
have to
bodies
ca-
away
I
from
just
camp
have-
and then fight them if they come back.
Well,
I say we
Holy
fight
water.
them for more XP.
I mean, there's that part of it.
That's an XP. What if we put them in a pile and pour a bunch of holy water so when they do come back they're just immediately injured?
or we can just burn the bodies, because the
That's
whole thing
true.
is that they can only come back if they have if their body is
We
viable to come back.
Yeah, we should get a funeral pyre. It'll be great.
Not to put a damper on it, because it is a great plan, but that will take several hours.
Several hours versus being invaded by the undead.
I mean,
Why
they'll
not
be
just,
burning
like,
while they're brought back.
It's not like several hours versus being invaded by the undead. It's more, they're probably going to wake up while we're doing all of it.
Why not just chop off the legs? They can't really move.
Or
That's
chop
a
off the
good
head.
idea.
Make
Make them a paraplegic.
Listen, I'm not in
We
the
got a
business
crawler.
of desecrating the dead, but funeral pyres is something I can get behind.
I mean, in the act of ensuring no more undead are made, is it not the lesser of two evils?
Listen,
Or
either
you
way, you're
can't
destroying the
partake.
body.
I'm a walking
Neither-
funeral pyre.
One of us could do it, and we won't be destroying the soul.
Yes, eat them, Sprungo, my man.
We also have like holy water. Like there's a non-zero chance that Ella Ugbo like would prevent them from being able to rise if we just sprinkle it on their graves.
That if we have enough, or at least can.
We did have
Take
that
cover
whole
enough
talk
of
about
them.
different holy waters doing different things, depending on the
Yeah.
god.
I mean,
Yeah.
Ella Uglo should prevent resurrection or
Hey,
undead,
who the
just given
fuck
her shit.
knows? I'm just a cleric.
You
Alright,
should
let's go
know.
do it.
So help
You're
me.
the new
Yeah,
champion.
y'all are saying shit out your ass, but hey, let's go do it.
What do you think's the best call?
I want
You
them
know,
to.
I don't even care anymore. Fuck it. Let's.
Kez
I'm tired of all this
closes his
bullshit.
book, puts his bag away, and
It'll make y'all shut up and leave me alone. I'll go throw all of my holy water on the corpse pile.
Damn. What crawled into your undies and died?
The undead.
You should remove that from your undies.
Trust me, I'm trying to.
By the way,
That's gotta itch.
are you like single or open to an open relationship?
I'm not interested.
The wolf mission.
Hey, totally fine. Just saying, it was super fucking hot when you were like, "Ooh, hammer, you want to fight?"
I've got some bodies to look over. No,
Ooh, I bet you do.
Sorry, I'm just trying not to get caught laughing in the background here. Kez, are you just gonna walk away at that, I imagine? Yeah.
I am going to the mass grave.
Alright, as you start, Kev just did that, just turn, disappointment on clear on your face as you walk past. Some of the mercenaries of the small hand group seem to just kind of nod at you as you pass by with like knowing looks.
I love you.
As he leaves, I look at Frungus, and it's kind of a hard situation. He kind of tied up with this Zalepip fella.
Oh, I understand. I'll leave him be for now. I respect an old lover.
As Frungus suddenly goes into a memory of his first lover.
Yes. 2 days after I was born.
Okay.
Oh,
And that's how we get
boy.
demonetized immediately.
Damn
Don't
it.
let Twitter see
And
this.
well, that's it, gents. It's all over for us.
Oh man. Alright.
Anime logic, guys. It's fine.
No, it makes it worse. So, Eider's going with Kez. Dom, are you going with Kez or are you staying at camp?
I imagine we'll have the small hands to watch the camp. If not, Frungus or Frungus stay behind. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Kez in the group.
Okay. Ned? You staying at
Well-
camp or are you going with them?
I wasn't gonna go, but now I feel left out. So
Well,
You kinda wanna be
specifically
alone
because if
with
these
Tech
fuckers
alone.
do get up while we're in front of them, then all hands on deck sounds like the best possible, situation. So somebody isn't just left out in the cold with a fucking horde of undead in front of them.
Yeah. As you lot head into the darkness, kind of going to the edge of the camp where the large area that was cleared had been kind of being dug up. Kind of finding your way through the darkened forest, Sprungus and Frungus, I assume you two are staying back at camp?
I defend the Scalies.
Okay.
Let's defend the stew.
Yeah, I want to talk to some of these guys.
Oh no.
I don't want to sleep with them,
Uh-huh.
Sounds
but I
like
do
they
want
have just
them
fled
to
the
love
camp.
me.
Roll a diplomacy check for me.
Fuck yeah, dude.
As they are not immune to having their current personalities changed.
Okay.
War for the stew. Okay, good to know. I mean, we've had holy wars for less in this group. Never forget the holy war that got spurred because someone didn't want to be called a nickname, and so they decided to kill everyone that called them the nickname, reinforcing said nickname.
The
God,
Streisand effect.
God Butcher. Ah, sorry.
They go, wait, hey, who's that?
No, don't worry. Yeah, go ahead and roll your diplomacy. Yeah, don't worry.
Frungus, don't worry, you're sweet.
Yeah, you easily manage as you start kind of listening and talking with the group. They seem quite friendly, surprisingly, Frungus, and quite open about their experience in battle. Many of them being troops that have spent a long time as mercenaries, most of their lives, as you find out, and have traveled almost every continent at this point.
Word.
Yeah. All right. As
Well-
I say, is there anything else you wanted to learn with that roll out of curiosity?
No.
Okay.
No, I just wanted to get them on my side.
Okay.
And possibly, I don't know, maybe fanatical towards me. So.
They are not fanatical,
Well-
but they do seem friendly now towards you.
Oh, for sure. They're not fanatical yet, but they will. They will
But
be.
as we jump over to Kez and the rest of the party, as you lot kind of head to the outskirts of this forest, or the outskirts of this tree line, finding the open clearing where the hole had been dug, the clear signs of the fresh dirt kind of shoved over it. From what you can tell, almost immediately from the disturbed ground, this hole looks to be almost about 15 feet wide and about 30 feet in length, and seems to have been set up specifically just to toss bodies in. Taking a second, Kez, as you look at it, and given your religious background, it wouldn't take you much to realize that the grave is probably somewhere around 40 feet deep. This is a deep hole that they dug over here and tossed bodies in, because giants are not small.
Keznok will get on his knees, pull out a bowl of water, and start just doing prayers, because this is a lot to do individual rites. So these folks still deserve to get some salvation of their souls.
Okay. What do you say for your prayer?
Can I roll for it instead of giving one? I'm too tired to start pulling one out of my ass.
Oh, come on. All right, yeah, go ahead.
Alright, would I roll like
let's go with
knowledge
a...
or legend?
No, we'll just do a wisdom check for it.
Alright. 19.
19. As you manage to kind of go, begin to whisper a prayer, a final rite to these lots, something more generalized as not knowing the religion of the individuals buried below and whatnot, not wanting to disrespect any gods, you begin ritually pouring the water over, spraying it, splashing it about as you begin your prayer in the background. Eider, Dom, and Ned, as you watch Kez begin to do this, what do you lot want to do?
Keep an eye
I would
on
just
us.
like to watch guard.
Okay, so 2 people heads on a swivel, got it.
Yeah, I'd like to keep my Sin's Evil on.
Okay. The world's evil.
Ah, good to know.
No, not really, I'm just, But, alright, I'll keep that in mind, okay. And Dom?
Dom's going to keep watch to see if the bodies start to become undead, and I'm also gonna keep a one of the clay containers of holy water in my hand ready.
Question. When you say watch to see if one of the bodies come undead, they are buried under mounds of dirt, feet, tens of feet.
If they start popping out of the graves, hands up, zombie horror movie style, if a dead body starts to crawl out of the ground, I'll know they're undead. It'll be a pretty obvious sign.
Yeah, the motherfucker starts crawling out of a grave.
Okay.
I mean, maybe he was just holding his breath really long. We don't know, guys. He could be normal.
Also, if there's any undead in the area, my shield would glow.
So I'm just looking to see if there's any foul play that's afoot.
And if there's any necromancers around, my spear will glow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's also true.
But all 3 of you give me spot checks.
You can let me.
Basically everyone but Kez, because Kez is saying his prayer.
Mm-hmm.
23, nice Eider.
Oh my gosh. My rolls. My dice.
Waha!
Jesus, Ned. Alright. 27.
What the heck? Why am I the only one who's doing bad?
Physical dice.
Classes.
Yeah.
Oh, you're wisdom based as
start
well.
rolling.
Yep.
We've had our differences.
As the 3 of you kind of keep your eyes out watching the Dark Forest, looking for anything that will pop up, anything of interest, as Kez begins to kind of speak, Eider, Ned, and Dom, immediately all of your eyes are drawn to a light, as Kez at this point imagines his eyes closed and deep in prayer and trying to picture, not only picture the scripture, but is also trying not to yawn in the middle of it, not to be disrespectful. He's half asleep.
It's been a long day for Kez. The whole, working in the medical tents, it's been a minute.
So as you kind of look about, you all 3, as you look over to the right of you, about 50 feet into the forest beyond, you see a shadowy figure of what looks to be a 10-foot tall, effeminate figure, as it seems to have very clear curves, almost like an hourglass, wearing a blackened dress and a veil over their face, long black hair almost covering everything else. The little bit of skin that you see exposed looks to be almost gray in coloration.
Now, I gotta ask, would this person be familiar? Assuming that, for me, this was Ella Ugbo. Remember when we were in, the first handful of sessions, when I was doing a morning prayer over at the tavern in Utham's capital? Is this person look the same to at least Dom and Ned, who were there to see this?
Did they see her?
Yeah, because I was out in the open doing this prayer, and you said to them that a blackened female figure came and put her hand on my shoulder.
That's right. Fuck, I forgot I'd used this before.
So.
Yeah.
Because I think I'm running that be in my notes.
Yeah. No, Dom, do not execute Thought Slayer Maneuver 36B. Dom and Ned, as you take a moment, you feel a familiar chill in the air, and you do recognize the figure to be You're not sure if this is Kez's god, but whenever Kez has been deep in prayer before his vision, he had a summon something similar to this. As it kind of takes a moment, Eider, your detect evil is going off like crazy, overwhelmingly so, but you are not stunned. Surprisingly, as this continues. Ned, your spear is glowing, almost brightly so, to the point where it's like illuminating the entire area like a flashlight. And you see as Kez's, it's your mace, right? Or your hammer?
The shield glows.
Shield, that's right. Your shield begins to glow and brightly. Although, Kez, it's on your back, so as your eyes are still closed, you don't notice any changes as you continue saying a prayer quietly.
Yeah, I think I at least yell out very loudly to get ready for battle.
As you say that, Ned and Dom, as you hear Eider shout this out loud, Kez, you hear nothing as you continue in prayer. Dom and Ned, are you going to do anything?
I will pull one of my magic stones out of my bag pocket.
Okay.
And just hold it between my fingers, ready to throw it.
Okay.
Dom will, still keeping the holy water in one hand, will, a little less immediate to act, kind of tilt his head in regard to the figure, and will ask, are you here to harm us? And we'll kind of try to see their response. Just kind of stall a little bit before we get thrown to a fight.
Eider, Dom, and Ned, as you as Dom says this after Eider, as you call out, get ready for a fight, you all three watch as the female figure disappears behind a tree, and Dom, you feel a both chill down your spine and the warmth of a familiar, like a parental figure, come behind you as you see a ghostly white hand slowly come around your neck and kind of wrap you into a light hug towards them as you feel the feminine figure behind you, her chest shoved onto your back slightly, definitely being able to tell from the heat of her. It seems like almost like a motherly a gesture. Eider, who I imagine would be kind of slightly in front of Dom, you almost, Eider, as you look back, kind of almost immediately can see the figure now standing behind Dom, hand around her neck, or his neck, pulling him towards the woman. Ned, as you stand behind Dom slightly, you see as this female figure just appears almost out of nowhere. She doesn't seem to react to you at all.
Not the same as the one we just saw?
It is. Exactly the
same. It is.
Mm-hmm.
You said it is familiar, parental, maternal, so I think... Oh, that's not good. Dom's... Can I tell if this is a god, or if this is a monster, or what the strength of this figure is?
As you move away, nothing seems to hold you. You almost flow through it like it's smoke.
Yeah, I think Dom's immediate reaction is his eyes kind of narrow in his slits, and he has a fight or flight to kind of just jerk himself away and turn to face her, not attacking, but very clearly on the defensive, but kind of cocks his head because he isn't left injured, is he?
No. Eider, are you actually going through with that, or are you just typing that?
I'm paranoid as fuck about this thing, because it reads like a ghost. Reached out and touched Dom. There are enough ghosts that just sap vulnerability or vitality out of you just by fucking touching you.
Mm-hmm.
But it didn't.
So
No, it didn't.
But it also reads horrifically evil.
Yep.
There's no bones about it. I made both your shield and Ned's spear. I know what the fuck they sense.
My god is a god of undeath. Technically.
But would she be an evil god?
Well, necromancy is typically looked on as evil, correct?
She's not a god.
Yes.
She's not a god of undeath. There is a difference between death god, undeath.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, Log is a god of undeath. Ella is a god of death. The
dead,
difference
yes.
between in that case is that Log controls basically the ability for those who can revive and those who cannot.
Another
Perfect.
character. I think either something's up with Ella Ugbo since the incident, or this is something disguised as her. But in character, I think Dom kind of like jerks himself away a bit in panic, and then kind of collects himself and is like, "I'm not sure that answers the question, ma'am." And it's kind of I'm cautious to attack, but I kind of side eyeing Eider like this doesn't seem good.
Yeah, fuck it. I reach out and attempt to utilize my gauntlets of disruption to damage undead.
Okay. What's safe for that?
It's just a touch attack.
Okay, go ahead and roll for it.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Since entering combat, 1 second. Let me roll knowledge or religion real fast for knowledge devotion. All right, so +2.
Knowledge religion in this case.
Yeah, I figured with it being like clearly undead.
Yeah, no.
So it's 4, 6. All right, 15 versus touch AC.
That does not hit.
Fair enough.
As you watch your hand go right through the woman's physical body, as she seems to just kind of look down at you and kind of seems to give a warm smile, but as you notice her lips never seem to part, you never see her mouth open, and the smile looks almost eerily like a predator looking on fresh prey.
Yeah. I have no reason not
Are
to try
you-
again.
Dom's,
Are you-
go ahead, Dom.
I was gonna say, as that's happening, Dom's kind of trying to figure this out. I assume I noticed Kez like isn't reacting, like he's
Kez
in
is
some kind of-
continuing to it seems to continue to be quietly whispering a light prayer that you can hear. It's almost strange as you hear the same prayer coming off this woman. Well, you take a minute to kind of think here, Dom. I'll come back to you in a moment. Ned, just jumping over to you because you've been quiet for a minute. What are you thinking about here?
Ned is standing prepared, but being he's seen the figure before, doesn't really understand what's going on, but it's not hurting anybody, so he's just going to keep watch.
Okay.
Bring into action if needed.
Okay. As you continue kind of watching, not doing anything, and just kind of seeing if she's going to make any offense, she doesn't seem to strike out and doesn't seem to be showing any physical like movement at all, even towards Dom and Eider. Even after Eider tried to seemingly grab at her leg and seemingly trying to grasp it, his hand only seemed to grasp what looked to be like air and smoke as the imagery of her dissipated slightly and then came back together. Good.
Either wait a second, and I kind of like glance nervously at him to see if he'll like kind of entertain that.
Yeah, he's like splits his like Dom being the savvy young man that he is, the savvy 1,000-year-old giant. Kind of gets like the sense of Eider being like is not wanting to like be on the back foot, so he's like trying to take preemptive action, but isn't like in like a blood friend. He's not unreasonable at the moment.
No, yeah, I didn't figure. Seeing you're kind of like still prepared to throw hands, which I think Dom's the same, but calm down. He'll like kind of redirect his attention to the woman who's like staring them down, and will just directly ask. And I will sense motive this. I don't think, regardless of what this is, I'll succeed. But are you Ella Ugbo or a projection of her essence? And we'll wait.
You hear the winds begin to pick up These distant cries from the camp as you can see off to your side the visible the visible lights of the campfires go out. You feel the cold kind of breeze bite through even in your chilled clothing, and for once, even Eider, you feel a bit of a coldness down your spine, something that's unfamiliar, a feeling that feels like death as it begins to come to fruition as it hits the bottom of your back. The fear of near death being in your eyes begins to almost come to a realization for each of you. As you look up at this creature, as it seems to almost allow its power or whatever it is holding back, its essence of sorts, to almost go unchecked, you begin to feel truly what is standing in front of you, a force that seems overwhelming almost immediately. And then the same feeling almost as instantly as it begins dissipates, and you see the figure shrink down into a very voluptuous-looking, young, humanoid woman with long white hair, bright white skin, and seemingly beautiful purple eyes that seem to glow and catch your attention. Eider and Dom and Ned, you almost immediately feel a natural attraction to this individual, as their armor seems to also show off their features quite cleverly. Their armor seemingly designed to allow their chest to be more visible and pushed up. Their armor is the rest of the armor seems to be designed in a way to only cover spots that seem to be where organs of importance are. As the figure dissipates, and you hear an answer as the figure goes, "No, I'm not Her Majesty, I'm just her champion. I've been called here to answer." As she looks over, Kez, you suddenly hear this woman's voice behind you, as if someone just appeared there out of the background, as you are kind of half trying not to fall asleep here, as you have your eyes closed, tossing some holy water about, or reading off a prayer that you remembered.
Just so I am fully aware of now what's going on. I turn around quickly, eyes go wide. I'm in awe.
You see, and you recognize from the paintings of her Matera, though dressed more scantily clad than any of her paintings of her in heavy armor, shown holding off heretics in this plate, normally show her. This is a bit more unique, as you kind of take a moment to look it over, Kez.
I present her the circulet.
She looks at it as she turns and goes, "Oh, that's what I was here for, or must have been summoned here for. I do apologize." As she takes the circlet from you and puts it onto her head and seems to kind of shift it a little bit and goes, the mother likes to summon me wherever the a situation is needed. I guess I was supposed to come here. Strange, I sense a powerful cleric nearby of an enemy god. It seems like some god of evil and death seems to be permeating around here. She looks down at Kaz and seems to kind of look him over up and down for a moment, and then looks about the rest of you and goes, "Are one of you that cleric?"
I am no cleric.
Yeah, or just like woodenly shakes his head.
The only things I send my spirits to are the nature outdoors.
She kind of nods at that and goes, "Interesting. Well, strange. I guess maybe the mother..." She stops. Go ahead.
I was about to say, many of us in this group were marked many a day ago on the back of our necks. Are you able to take a look at them?
She kind of stops as she seems to look back towards your camp for a moment and looks back down at you and goes, "Oh, I mean, you're marked for death. I mean, that's simple. About that cleric we were talking about, though. Strange. I don't sense them nearby, and they seem to be dead." Huh. Did you bury any clerics recently?
Well, there was a cleric we dug back up from in the woods, and that was the circulet I had just given you.
As you see that, you see as it starts to glow and begins to turn a greenish color and starts to shrink around her head, tightening its grip as she kind of looks up at it and starts with fear on her face, goes to grab it, starts trying to yank it off, which he does not pull off. And she looks at you and she goes, "What did you do? Do you work for this heretic god? Have you betrayed the mother?" And she's like trying to struggle with it.
No, I've always served Ella Ugbo.
She looks on with panic as she sees your almost calm exterior. As she looks about your group, a panic clear on her face as she is trying to pull this thing off. Yes, go ahead, Dom.
I just want to sense motive if she's acting.
Go ahead.
Because Ida does sense evil, so.
Yeah,
Well,
there's like
Ida
that's
sense
the
evil
trifecta.
now?
No, I sensed evil the entire time, but like we hit the trifecta: evil, undead, necromancer.
16.
So I mean,
16?
you sensed it even after the changing of the form.
I just double checking DM. I imagine the evil aura had never left.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
As you're with the 16, Dom, you're unsure if they're acting. It looks to be legitimate. You start to see as their skin is paling and going gray around where the circlet wears on their skull. Their skull is being literally pulled into itself, like it's being squished together as the circlet is shrinking.
Does anyone with magic have the ability to dispel this? And he'll kind of like look at the others because he can't really do anything.
Is dispel magic, if that's even a 3.5 spell.
Dispel magic?
It is. It is. I don't think it's available to clerics. It's also, I think, a 3rd level. Remember right?
It is available to clerics at 3rd level. It's also available to druids at 4th. In pretty much every class, 3rd.
Unfortunately for me, I don't have access to 3rd level spells.
Yeah. Also, I imagine this would probably be break curse more likely.
Remove curse.
Yeah.
Yep.
Can you eat it? And I look at Ida.
I like look at this person up and down. I just like shake my head and say, no. It has to be an ongoing spell, not an item.
The thing shrinks once more, and you are starting to see blood trickling down from around the ring where the ringlet is digging into her skin. The skin is starting to tear slightly from itself. She screams in pain.
I could try, but I think she's lying. I think she's an imposter. I don't think your god has a champion that is an evil undead necromancer.
Did your goddess not tell you herself that her champion had died? And Dom will kind of side-eye Kez, because he's not
her
spoken
head
to Ella
pops.
Ugbo.
Oh god.
As you watch the top of her skull crack and you hear the shattering of the skull as the skin pulls in on itself, almost tearing, and bits of what look to be brain matter start shooting out like one of them elephant toothpaste experiments. She lies on the ground motionless as the circlet returns to its normal size and falls to the kind of rolls off to the side in the pool of blood. As you look down at the corpse kind of falling in on itself.
I look at Kez and I'm like, well, you might not want to put that on.
Starting to think we need to look into that circlet after all.
Well, I always intended on.
And I'm gonna like panic, start looking at the raven really quickly.
Well, my goddess told me that the champion was dead anyways. So
Kez's eyes are just dead, deep black, like bags under them at this point.
Another body to take care of.
Dumb question. So, are the things still glowing?
No.
Okay.
I'll take the circulate back, put it in my bag. After wiping it off a little bit. Alright, if you don't mind, I've got more funeral rites to attend to now.
Just like give it like a troubled nod. He's like, something ain't right about that boy.
Kez just stands up. There's no emotion. You can see he's already got the bed on his mind. His sleeping or his bedroll is everything he is thinking about at this moment. Now that the prayers are done, as he starts walking.
I'll meet you guys at camp. I'll meet you guys at camp. I gotta take care of whoever this is.
You gonna bury the body?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Go ahead, Dom.
I wanted to, before he did that, inspect her body to see if there's any like signs of items that like, oh yeah, this is an Ugbo holy symbol, or like this is the marking of or like this is a suspicious necromancer staff. Just like not necessarily looting, but more like what the fuck does she have on her? Because that was suspicious as hell.
Yeah, as Kez starts kind of looking about for a clear space to start digging, you kind of lean down, look about the body. Eider and Ned, are you just kind of watching as Dom does this?
I say.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I come over and like try and join Dom because I still have like my continuous like protection from compulsion going on.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
it was like I figured like Dom and I like tag team kind of like bomb squad, but like any suspicious items like
Yeah.
maybe I'm the one that touches
Dom's
it.
trying to do his best to like. I imagine he has some like extra bandages, and he'll like wrap his fingertips that are like exposed, and will like try to touch through his like gloves. Like he's explicitly trying to like not touch with his bare skin, just as a cautionary thing.
Both of you give me search checks.
I thought you were gonna say survival checks or something, or like say
No.
real worried.
And
Oh,
Kez, give
not
me a
yet.
strength check for how long it takes you to dig.
Yeah, I'll take a full 20. It only takes a couple minutes. It's if you take a 20, and Kez will be busy digging.
Unless he rolls a nat 20 somehow.
I'm fucking
Another-
great.
One scoop and Kez is done.
Yeah, right. Almost. So that's how you rolled a 19, so that would be 22.
Okay. It's not gonna take Kez very long to dig up the hole. Now, Kez, are you gonna let them kind of look about as long as they're not taking any items off the person?
As long as they're not taking anything off of them, I
Okay.
should be alright.
Yeah, as you kind of work about letting yourself finish up as they continue kind of going through all of the individual stuff, not taking anything off of the person, but you do, as you kind of keep your eye on the two as they go about looking through their pockets. Ned kind of standing overhead, also watching as this goes on. Dom got a 4. Go ahead, Ned. Yeah. No, go.
I wanted to look over the Raven statue. Ned's
Oh, yeah.
all freaked out now.
Give me a, what are you trying to get out of the, figure out?
Just try to figure out what it might be. Also make sure it's not gonna like explode in my pocket or anything.
Okay, I'll tell you what, if you want to see if it's a historical item of like any note, like if it would have anything of a legend, you can give me a knowledge history or a knowledge nature. If you're just trying to see if it will literally explode in your pocket or kill you as a magical device, just a spellcraft check.
I'll go knowledge nature.
Alright. Maternal embrace and a pop of her head, yep.
Or unnatural 20.
Alright, as you kind of look it over for a moment, you do remember a story you read at one point, and the only name that comes to mind immediately is Plethmora's Wings. As you think this, you do watch as the Raven statue seems to, or not statue, figurine, begins to flutter slightly and turns into a little silver raven that kind of looks up at, kind of calls out, or yeah, gets crows. Crows out and then looks at you as it keeps its silvery wings. And for that name, there you go.
Well, aren't you just a cool little fella?
It kind of turns its head to the side and then kind of like walks its way along your arm and then up to your side of your like shoulder and rubs its head against your shoulder.
and I'll like scritch it.
You take care of that. Your goslings might get jealous.
The goslings
He's getting a bird harem.
that are back at camp still asleep in the little nest. And Hootie, who's somewhere.
In the cart.
Assumedly. But yeah, as you work about this, as the two of you, Dom and Eider, kind of go about as Ned gives the little figure, or the figurine now turned into a silver raven, scritches on its head. You two go about looking through the pockets. You do find the following. Not only is the what looks to be the armor a +3 set of armor that you're able to tell, Eider, the materials you would recognize seem to have the smallest amount of this purple metal that accordingly you'd note to be Oventium, or think to be Oventium, which is a material worth basically the same, almost a castle or a kingdom for an ingot. Meaning that this would probably be the most expensive armor you've seen to date at this point. Though the rest of the armor looks to be mixed with a bit of cobalt and adamantine together. In her pocket, she has 200 gold pieces, all of a mixture of... Jesus Christ, that scared me. All of a different nation. All from different nations. You do find a holy sigil in one of her little bags of holding that does have a white wooden small shield with a bunch of hands grasping on the outside in a circular formation, which is, as you note, the same symbol that Kez has pretty much on all of his custom gear, somewhere portrayed. You do also find a magic item that kind of catches your attention as you open it. It looks to be at first just a thing of leather to not like a wallet, a physical wallet. But as you open it, you see little paintings of different races and different children that seem to, as you look through, grow up through the ages. You count almost 75 in total, different kids from all different races, different walks of lives, as you can tell, that seem to have traveled with this individual. Each painting seems to grow as you kind of open up this wallet and look at them. Nothing else is found in the leather, though. None of the other areas seem to contain anything. The last thing you notice amongst her items is in her in her bag of holding. You do find a warhammer with the words carved into it that says, "All life is sacred, all death should be respected, for they are the shield of legacy." And so to answer your question, yes, you are almost 100% sure this was Mitera the White Hand.
Why was she evil?
Jesus,
do you think I would be... Do you think it would be divinely cursed if we relieved her of her bag of holding?
Yes.
Do not touch anything on
I was just
So
like,
if she's-
I just like whispered it up. It's like, look, he's been touchy as it is. I don't want to deal with it more.
I thought Kez was away, so he went over here. But Dom kind of looks over and it's like, listen, this might be her or an essence of her, but she died. And she was ghostly. I don't think...
All I'm saying
I
is
don't
if
think...
Utham died, how would you feel about somebody ransacking his corpse?
Is she as important to Kez as Utham is to me? I've not heard of her before.
I just kind of like give a shrug and says, I think it's more of the idea of her that's the important, but I don't know. He's been moody as it is. I don't want to give him more stuff to like yell at us about.
Because Utham directly raised me and is responsible for me being alive to this day, so I have a big reason to be upset if his corpse was ransacked. If that's the same for Kez, then of course. I'm just suggesting, since there's reason to doubt her authenticity, an item like this would be helpful. But I'm not going to liberate the body of anything. It was just a question. The circlet, it's Ella Ugbo's champions, right? I imagine it only can be worn by the worthy or something divine. So if she's the champion, why was her head crushed? Seems... This all seems
$500
fishy,
million
Eider. You
question.
have to admit it. And Don is like saying this to Eider, but he's not trying to be quiet if Kez is eavesdropping.
It just gives you like the most confused expression. It's like, this has to be suspicious, Eider. The guy that was suspicious the moment she showed up.
Yeah, just reiterating. I'm reiterating the facts. This is
Okay.
weird as hell.
I agree.
Like, yeah, exactly. I just want to know we're on the same page because you were ready to fight her, and now that she's dead, it's like everyone's mad at me. I'm just saying, this is weird as hell.
Oh no, I still agree. It's weird as hell. I also kind of don't want to like touch most of what she had in case they're abominably cursed.
Question, because Dom would be not stealing, but definitely like looking. Does Kez appear in the wallet with children?
No.
Okay. Just had to double check. So not a parental figure, as far as we know.
No, part of her lore that she went around and was helping children and stuff like that.
Oh.
So
Dom suddenly feels slightly worse about the situation.
Hey, if she wants to help children, then surely she would be willing to part with a bag of holding when she's dead. If we're young by fire giant years, not children, but we're like young adults.
Kez looks at his old age and in the back.
I'm like a young adult.
I'm fucking 700 something. I don't know.
You're not all that old for a fire giant. As far as I know, I don't fucking know.
I can live, and I live far longer than fire giants will. So.
As a femboy, that's really the worst fate possible.
Mostly because of my storm giant heritage.
The storm giant's really what gave you the birthing hips. On a more, on a much more serious note, so because admittedly, like the first time I like tried to do like a knowledge check on her was just like in the moment of combat, trying to like get leverage for like fighting undead. Now that like things have calmed down, I turned to Kez, let him know like specifically like I'm going to inspect her like more thoroughly because I want to know what kind of undead or what happened in terms of like creating her as an undead.
Okay. I think
generally inspecting the body.
I think that would be more a heal or profession check. I'll take a spellcraft check to see if you know for like any magic that you think might be on the body or used on the individual.
Yeah, because I could do heal checks all day.
Yeah, I was like, I don't think I need to do a heal check to know that she died from cranial explosion. I want to know what magic would made her undead.
Maybe it was an illusion.
I mean, you can illusion a lot of things. I don't think you can illusion a corpse that we have been rummaging around for and like actively touching for this fucking long.
Her being the champion Ella Udbo would let her be radiating off like that kind of stuff.
34 spellcraft.
As you
Unless that wasn't her.
Look about, there seem from what you can tell, she does seem to have some sort of magic on her. Give me a second to pull it up and send you something.
And I become horribly cursed before looking at the magic.
No. Actually, I know you don't care, but usually you like to share with your party. You recognize the spell that killed her seems to be a mix of Phantasmal Killer and Cloud Kill. And almost all of her items, as you seem to note, seem to have clear magical damage onto them that look to, as you recognize, would be similar to if someone used a Dispel Magic Raider and still failed.
That is interesting, because she was radiating undead and was killed by a death effect. And that's not a thing. Like, undead don't die.
Something that was on her that was radiating and did not hurt herself.
Yeah.
I will note, as you do look about, one of the things that does catch your attention with that check is that she has a ring that at first looks completely unassuming, and as you notice, actually does have an illusion on it to almost hide it. It does have an alignment shifting spell enchanted onto it. As you recognize, this is designed to make her appear as lawful evil.
Oh. Why would she want that?
Well, I mean,
but-
she's a fiend. She normally is in the fiend lands.
Oh.
Yeah, it's to protect, because like what the easiest way to like find a follower of a good deity, just wander around looking for, detect good. And the issue with something like non-detection is vulnerable to caster level checking, so it can fail. If you're just straight up not the alignment they're looking for, it never fails.
Oh. Okay. I don't think I need to check what I wanted to check then if she was legitimately good.
Yeah. I still like look for like anything that cons like the undead part, because that still hasn't been, or rather, sorry, I guess I've done my check.
Actually,
you don't. There's nothing that seems to explain why she gave on death. We'll call it a common sense roll. Give me a wisdom check for me.
$15.
As you kind of think for a second about it, there's a good chance that what's left over is remnants of a necromantic magic on her, or vice versa, they raised her as an undead, and that's what you sensed. And they used a necromancy spell to kill her. A combination of the two, as you think about it, would give heavy off necromantic, and given the fact that she is a servant of a god of death, being a necromancer as far as a caster, probably not surprising.
Right, but Kez had thing was going off as far as undeath. Like that's the one.
And if she was raised as an undead after being killed, she would come off as undead.
Right.
The fact that she was able to talk, act of her own will, and put on a show like that, that's something that kind of catches your attention, Ire, which means she had to be a high-ranking undead, which means if someone did raise her, they had some serious magic juice behind them.
Oh, that one immediately clocked into, because that...
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I mean, me personally, I think she was just brought back by Ella Ugbo as a champion.
Wouldn't that defy her own
Well,
laws?
Ella Ugbo does allow certain people, you can come back as a martyr and stuff like that.
Kez, give me a knowledge religion check while you're, as you kind of start to look at the body, kind of seeing as Eider seems to really be looking at everything now.
Keznok is totally shedding tears because he just killed. He feels he is now responsible for killing the champion of his god.
Listen, I don't
The
think
realization of the emotions.
That is a 16 knowledge religion.
As you take a second, Kez, you were taught, even as young as you were, that according to the Holy Book, that Ella Ugbo does not believe in the bringing back of someone, usually of her champions, and the belief is because it would go against the laws of the land. Those who serve a god as their champion and die in their service should be happy and should go on with the acceptance that they basically completed what they did. If they go on unsatisfied, that means that in a sense that is something that could be corrupted and used against them. So it's typically very taboo to bring back a champion of a god like that.
Okay.
So she was...
Keznok will still be crying, because if that's the case, this is a perversion of a very good person.
Mm-hmm.
Well, was she good after being brought back from the undead?
Well, I think it's better question is, did she have a choice?
Because if she was... if she was brought back willingly, was still good, but there's a chance she was twisted after being brought back and wasn't still with Ella Ugbo and wanted to circle it because it had power or something.
Yeah.
She was being hella... I do want to again point out, unless I was just DM fucking with us, she was smiling at us with a predatory, eerie smile and was grabbing my neck, which is not very, I'm lawful good, I'm here to help your ally behavior.
Yes, you did interpret that correctly. She was smiling at you, giving a very creepy look. As I described, it looked like she was a predator looking down at fresh prey when she was looking at Eider.
She might have been like a vampire or something, about to chomp me.
It's not impossible. Vampires are like one of the like kind of archetypal retained sentience and to a lesser extent soul, kind of.
She was also very pale.
The mist thing also is kind of part of a giveaway, potentially.
Just saying, if she's back, she's become something her goddess no longer agrees with, which means her existence would be very complicated.
Yeah.
So maybe we've done her a favor by being unable to remove the circlet.
I think we've like possibly just completely walked into this problem solving itself by not doing anything to actually solve it.
Yeah, just coincidentally here.
I'm just impressed with how calm we all stayed.
Kez is still crying like tears
Kez was
heavily right now.
Ned's confused, and me and Eider were hella sus. And honestly, I don't think I, as a monk, could like just pure pull it off, especially because strength isn't my focus. So like, what we couldn't really have done anything.
As you look over the body, though, Ned, Eider, Dom, and Kez looking down at all four of you, Sprungus and Frungus still back at camp with the rest of the group. You know it's starting to, the campfires are starting to get relit as you hear people talking, and you expect at this point you're going to be hearing calls for you lot here soon. Out of concern. What do you want to do with the body? The grave is dug. You look over as Kez has dug a pretty decent, about 10 foot into the ground and about 8 feet long, just big enough to allow her to kind of be pushed or slumped in and comfortable and deep enough that the animals won't get to her.
Hey, Ned, if you could help me make this grave look like it was unmarked, like that nobody was here. I don't want to know.
Kez?
How do you want me to do that?
You're a druid, aren't you? Can't you make grass?
Surprisingly, no.
Yeah,
Ned writes
an upsettingly high-level spell for what it's worth.
Ned writes down notes for a spell in the future. Make grass.
Buddy, just shave a little bit of the moss off you.
Ned looks
Lay
at
it
you
down.
slightly offendedly.
That wasn't his character.
I say, Ned, you start to realize Dom may be wanting to see you with a little bit less moss on you, which something kind of clicks there.
Come on. Kez. I just want to say, like, I'm not pressuring you one way or the other. Whatever you decide at the end is fully what you decide. I think that something horribly wrong has gone on here. Perhaps taking her effects, not for monetary or physical gain, but to be able to have access to them as clues and to prevent them from potentially falling into somebody else's hands would be a good idea. To write whatever it is, something has clearly gone wrong. She shouldn't have been brought back. Something's just not adding up.
You said she had a bag of holding?
She does.
I put her and everything in her bag of holding.
Fair enough.
Now, Kez, for your own notes, this bag of holding will not hold her body weight and all the stuff already in it. It'll overflow, and you can pretty much tell that right away. Secondly, given your smithing background and your racial background, you would know that bags of holding typically do not do well with organic matter in them. They do rot quite quickly. Given it's not a jar of preservation, this is just a place without oxygen. That's all it is. Basically an empty domain.
I thought he was dumping the bag of holding out.
Oh, did I miss? Sorry.
No.
Okay.
You fully
that's
okay. Oh, okay, I thought I misunderstood for a second. I was like,
things
wait.
can only really rot if there is oxygen for stuff to rot it, right?
No, it'll still turn into jelly. That's an actual confirmed thing, because that's something that happens in D&D quite often, sadly. You can't put organic material in there, they do expire, naturally.
Yeah, it's like a blockage.
That's why there are food, like things for preserving food specifically.
Yeah, the idea is like it still has it doesn't have oxygen, but it is like a portal to the astral plane, and time typically accelerates like quite a bit.
Astral bacteria gets in there.
8 days for a full-grown humanoid corpse, I think.
Yeah, it's like so. Like,
go ahead.
so like desiccation and things like that kind of happen where like just some of the non necessarily like the anaerobic sort of decay can take effect.
All right. So what do you suggest we do? We just put all the items in and bury the body?
I believe so. Her body, thankfully, unless like it's a horrifically profane rite, most bodies cannot be raised after being raised as an undead.
Fine. But I will be keeping
We
her items.
wouldn't have anything less. Again, something's gone wrong. I can't explain what it is, but this doesn't look right. This doesn't feel right.
All right. I put my would you actually? Would you mind if you all let me do this by myself?
Sorry, every word you tried to say got drowned out by static.
Oh, my bad.
Would you mind if you all leave me to do this by myself?
I don't.
Yeah, we'll turn and walk away.
If nothing, turn around, please.
I kind of like nod. I like think for a moment and say, real fast, we should check the bag of holding because I don't think we looked in the bag of holding while we were searching.
DM mentioned a shield, but Dom was curious about checking it for an item.
Yeah, just in case like there's some like fucking trap or some crazy shit inside of the bag of holding. Because I don't know if you did you include that in like our searching?
Nope.
Okay.
Oh.
I did not, because as you tried to get your hand into it, you are only able to pull out the like I said, the Holy Sigil and her Warhammer.
Oh yeah.
Though you do feel the bag still has weight to it, for reference, so you know there's
you have
more
to
in it.
think about things to pull them out, correct?
Not always. It depends on the on the bag of holding. Like the concept, like if you think armor. Any armor inside of it will come out, in theory, right? You don't have to think, plate for your plate to come out. You can think to specify, on that for the items to come out for specifics. But generally, yes, you have to know what are in bag of holdings to know how to call them out, or know what to call out. But you can just try and do random things.
You are free to be the one to do this if you wish, but if it is trapped like I said, there might be a risk, and I know you're worn out, but it might be good to check the bag for anything that could have given off on death or anything incriminating that we are aware of, such as potentially soul coins or something that might have its presence hidden. It seems random, but I believe is probably tied into everything else we've been dealing with somehow.
Either doesn't actually. You wouldn't be able to sense the aura through the bag because it's like in a physically different plane of existence.
That's what he's commenting on. Like in regards to, we wouldn't be able to tell if she had soul coins or anything like evil undead item in the bag because the bag would hide it.
Well, no,
if
I was
she's
saying
tied to like the cataclysm.
Oh, gotcha. You just mean like of her like personal.
Yeah, he can't say the word the cataclysm because I don't remember if that was a session you weren't here. When I tried to say it, I had like a fucking nosebleed and like I was physically harmed. But he's worried this is tied to that somehow.
I think we just can't say cataclysm to strangers because like we've totally brought up cataclysm among our own group before.
She was remarkably cold when I kind of brought up that mark. He's like, "Oh yeah, you're marked for death." All right, anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so
top to bottom,
Dom's
this bitch is freaky.
She fucking put me in a neck chokehold and then smiled at Ida like she's gonna eat him for dinner. This is please someone check the bag for such shit.
All right, yeah, I'll take care of it. Now turn around.
All right, I think Dom wants to be in the area in case the other bodies emerge, but yeah, I'll turn around and like take a few steps away.
Okay,
I'll be listening for sus shit, like if a hand pops out of the dirt.
Yeah, like trying to give Kez some privacy, but kind of in the same vein of there's been another number of circumstances.
Yeah, by all means, you do not have to leave, but do not watch.
Yeah.
You walk over, kind of stand next to Dom, and stare back at the camp, waving towards the small hand scout who kind of comes looking into the forest. As he sees you, just kind of nods and turns back to head back as he goes shouting, they said I could have their portion."
No, they didn't. I will murder you.
The guy is gone as he clears the shore. Ned, are you also going to be giving them space or Kez space, or are you gonna kind of stand there and watch?
Yeah. As soon as Kez asked us to leave, Ned would have turned to walk back towards the tent.
Okay, head back towards the camp. Okay, Ned just walking off. You, Eider and Dom, you watch as Ned passes you lot. I imagine waving as you do so and heading towards the camp.
More specifically, the lucky cart.
Mm-hmm. The big blue cart that very easily shines in the glimmer of the firelight as Frungus can even see his reflection in it.
Yeah, I do my best to keep an eye on Ned as he walks back, make sure fucking Jabberwocky didn't come out of nowhere and
Yeah, he doesn't get it.
Yeah, he
Mugged by
watches.
the Black Hand.
He clears the forest lane, seems to go and sit down with the rest of the camp. As we turn back over to Kez. Kez, as you're left with the body, Dom and Eider kind of standing off to the side, looking back towards the camp. Ned seemingly kind of heading off completely. The body is down, or is right at your feet. What do you want to do?
Well, I will take the items off of it with great care, giving as much respect to this body as I possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, what do I got? Covering it as much as I can. Of course, leaving, because I assume, besides the armor, there's regular clothing underneath it, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Well, of course I won't be taking that.
Okay.
I'm not gonna leave this body naked.
But you're gonna take the plate, all the any items that don't seem like a personal effect of hers.
Yeah. Okay. I will be leaving with her the symbol of Ella Ugba, though.
What about the wallet with the pictures of all the kids, the paintings?
She can keep that as well.
Okay. But you're taking the bag of holding, her warhammer, and you're leaving her holy sigil. By the way, when I said shield, I was referring to her sigil.
Yeah. She can
okay.
keep, her shield.
Okay. All right, but you take her bag of holding and take the warhammer she had at her hip, and kind of as well as the ring and the armor.
Yeah, the ring and the armor.
Okay. The ring, for your own note, is a ring for alignment. It gives lawful evil as your alignment. And the armor is a +3 plate. However, it is only designed for a medium-sized female. Mm-hmm. Specifically, as it is literally designed as boob armor, as the internet calls it.
Yeah, it was custom to her, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, as you grab this and then the bag of holding, the warhammer acts as a +1 warhammer. However, it does have some magical runes across it with the creed of Ella Ugbo going across it. You are unsure what else it does.
Okay.
And then, of course, the bag of holding, which, from what you can tell, let me pull up my notes for that, because I gotta remember what the amount is for bags of holding. Because in 3.5, they have different versions, and I never remember off the top of my head. Here it is. This is a Type 3 bag of holding, and it is full with 1,000 pounds worth inside of it.
Alright. So, okay, we've got the Warhammer, the plate. I'm just trying to type it all together.
I know. No worries. I see Eider's doing the same thing.
A Mark III
bag of holding.
Bag of holding. And a lawful evil ring?
Yep. Alignment ring. The bag of holding, by the way, is filled. So you can put a note for that.
Okay, and just to satisfy Eider's curiosity, if I think of silver while putting my hand in the bag, do I pull out silver powder or anything of that nature?
You do pull out. Well, let me ask you something. Are you going to do this while you're burying her, or are you going to do this once you get back to camp?
I'll do it when I get back to camp.
Okay, then I'll answer that afterwards.
Alright, yeah, cool. Right now is just, it's all about getting her buried respectfully right now.
Okay. As you kind of set the items off to the side after taking them, doing another prayer and laying her to rest, kind of pouring the dirt back over her as you do so. Are you wanting to do anything special out of curiosity?
2 silver coins, I guess where her head would be.
Mm-hmm.
With the classic, coins for the ferryman type deal.
Yep.
And would you allow me to roll a knowledge religion for a Ella Ugbo, like servant Ella Ugbo, like prayer type of thing?
Sure.
As it's a lot more personalized. That would be a 20.
Okay. Give me a second. Let me see. As you kind of look her over for a moment, taking a second to think, you begin to almost say a prayer, chanting the creed and the full scriptures of the creed itself. As you go through for the next few minutes, going over this, the coins left on her eyes, what looks to be her personal effects left in her hands so that she can carry them into the afterworld. A little stick that you kind of carve or kind of put together to look like a warhammer given to her to also carry into the afterlife as a defense. You begin to say the prayer and watch to see if a light glows over the body, knowing it won't, as the spirit this soul has clearly already moved on, given the undeath that this poor corpse had gone through. But as you watch and wait expectingly, as it is part of being diligent of the faith, no light begins to glow, and as you kind of say one final prayer, begin to cover the individual in dirt, kind of tossing a couple of chunks of brush over it, some leaves, and Pat kind of stomping on the dirt a few times before kind of walking back over to the party, bag holding in hand, the warhammer in another, and the ring kind of just, I imagine, somewhat just in your hand as well, as you walk back to the group, as well as the armor on your back, tied onto your back. As you lot kind of come back together, heading back to the camp, you see as Frungus and Sprungus are kind of sitting there, Ned, I imagine, enjoying some non-chunky soup, as not to eat the rock, or the bits of rock that were put into it.
Also intently listening to any story Frungus might tell.
Okay. Oh, no. Alright, good to know. Frungus, do you have any stories you'd like to enlighten the small hand camp with? Any themes you've been coming up with?
Good question. I tell them the story of how me and Sprungus were born.
Oh, it's a lot of fire and a lot of screaming.
A lot of it, yep.
Mostly of everyone else.
And I spread tale of our divine message.
The group seems to listen intently, though none of them interested in the religion. Many of them seem to be very respectful and listening through the story, asking questions as you go on. As you lot join, as Frungus is kind of continuing this tale, Sprungus, I imagine, working away at the stew still, kind of finishing up the last of the cooking.
Whoever put this fire out.
Yeah, imagine kind of kicking a couple pieces of wood on there just in case for it, looking around.
Immediately goes into the wagon and passes the fuck out.
Alright, Bago holding in hand, all the items kind of just lay next to him. You watch as you see Kez kind of climb into the wagon over, and then you watch as the wagon kind of physically moves a little bit and shakes as you then hear Kez snoring.
kind of creep into the wagon and make sure like the circlet is like very much separated from Kez's like person.
Okay. Making sure you're pulling it all, setting it off to the side, one of the corners where you know no one's gonna sleep. Okay.
It's just like physically just not touching anyone. It's like no. This is no.
As soon as you enter the wagon, the snoring stops.
It's like, the fuck is this? The phantom snoring. I swear to God, you.
Upon observation, Kezenok does not snore, but when not being observed, Kezenok snores.
Yeah, the daintiness of his curse requires him to his snoring almost stop. It's almost eerie as you can't tell if he's doing it on purpose or if it's like an actual thing that's just part of what his personality.
For all you know, in that wagon, he could be a full ass grown like. But the curse could be broken right now.
Either as you kind of go near the circlet, you kind of wait and looking to see if Kez reacts. You kind of move it with your foot a little bit just to inch it away. It doesn't seem to move in the slightest as you continue watching his chest rising up and down. It doesn't take you long to see it. He's still asleep.
I just kind of like nod, like get to like do the thing and just leave. I was like, this is fucking weird.
Nothing about Kez is normal.
As soon as you leave, it's just like...
I was like, what the fuck?
As you step out, Dom kind of taking a seat, I imagine, on one of the logs next to Frungus and Sprungus. Ned still kind of, I imagine, leaned up against the wagon. The little goslings chewing away at a stew or a bowl stew each. Hootie sitting on top of the wagon, looking down at the fire as if it's going through trauma and like therapy in its head. Dom and yeah, go ahead.
How does the raven mesh with the rest of them?
Did you keep it? Did you ever think Plethmora's wings after the first time?
No.
No? The thing seems to just stay on your shoulder and doesn't seem to react to them at all from what you can tell.
Sure.
As Eider and Dom and Ned, as you kind of circle around the fire, you do watch as the goslings kind of seem to eye the raven, but keep to eating their bowls of stew as they kind of bring them over to Sprungus from multiple plates, kind of leaving them at his feet as well-trained dogs do, and kind of looking up at him with their very cute undead eyes.
And that is my quest, gentlemen. Now, who wants to help me?
You see a few of them raise their hands, and a couple of them comment about getting paid by a god, and them kind of raising their hands immediately after the idea kind of gets put up amongst the group. Almost the entire mercenary group, with the idea of a god's payment, seem to be interested in assisting.
You go over the part where you were chiseled out of the stone again?
Oh, my favorite. Yes. And I go back to it.
In detail, like every second. Yeah.
How is Junior reacting to this?
Junior seems to have already gone to sleep when you lot have returned. Okay. He seems to be in his own in the tent they'd set up, kind of passed out.
His men want to go and join a god with a twink while he's sleeping. Wonderful. This is what we wanted. This is the content we want.
Yeah, this is peak, not my fucking problem.
Okay, we agreed in our deal to be alliances that we would stay out of each other's business, so Eider, we're under no obligation to prevent this.
Yep.
But yeah, as you lot kind of return, Frungus and Sprungus, I will mention, almost immediately both of you can tell that there is something coming off of Kez when he heads into the wagon, and it clocks really, really heavily. The overwhelming aura of a foreign god that you don't recognize. Not saying because of the fact that it's some god that's unknown, saying that because you don't know, you wouldn't be able to tell auras of specific gods unless you've met their clerics prior.
I just look at Frungus, and I look over at
I look at Sprungus, my smile kind of fading a little bit. Do you think... I'm whispering this, by the way. There's no way to whisper in this voice.
I imagine I'm fully just going to lift you up onto my shoulder and just...
Yeah. Do you think he is now a different god's cleric?
I don't know. He seemed devout just earlier today.
Sure did. Something changed in the last fucking 5 minutes.
Frungus, as you look over in the distance in the dark forest where you've seen this group kind of come out of, it always seems to happen when they go into the forest without you.
This fucking forest.
It always does.
Do you think the forest serves a god?
I think we should burn it overnight.
Sprungus just nods.
I'll climb down off his shoulder, content with the fact that we are solving the problem. And if there is still a divine aura about Kez in the morning after the forest is burnt, we'll deal with it then.
Oh, we're gonna fucking die in our sleep.
Hey, it makes it easier to pave a road if there's no trees, so I don't see why Utham would be opposed.
It's funny because Utham just had to pay to get these trees put up by someone else.
Did he really?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if he paid, but I know he made a request.
Anvil?
Yeah.
Anvil did it for free. He came to me. He asked me if he could make trees.
Oh, okay.
Will he do it again for free?
But
I don't know.
A good question.
Ash is very fertile. He'll be able to grow lots of big plants.
As you lot kind of circle around the camp, are you wanting to? Ned, Ida, or Dom? Are you going to say anything about amongst the camp about what happened, or are you keeping your mouth shut and thinking about it on your own?
I think with so many small hands present, Dom's hesitant to talk about matters that sensitive.
Also, the forest, they're not actual trees. His spell makes ice that looks like trees.
What?
The spell's called Ice Trees. It literally makes giant ice blocks that are shaped like trees.
Oh god.
So there's no wood for firewood. What have we been using?
No, he mixed them with the already existing forest. Like it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
So okay. It's not
And also, there was a forest at the bottom of the mountain. Most of the icy trees are at the top. That was just a joke.
I was about to say, okay, I'm much more impressed if you managed to burn down the forest at this point.
Considering there is, I will note, like 4 inches of snow pretty much everywhere around you. By the way, like it's not like it's the ground is clear anywhere. Like you guys have been walking through snow. Now it's not been blizzarding because you're in a nicer it's a nicer part of the year, but it's still cold enough for snow to be on the ground most days.
Oh yeah.
Or is what we snowbears call July.
Mm-hmm. It's old. No, I think Dom would just be like sat next to Eider, kind of like, still like, very thoughtful and tense, like switching his attention between trying to puzzle out what the fuck just occurred, and also like keeping an eye on the small hand and making sure like they're all chill and that no black hands are like coming to attack anyone. So he's just like very intensely, like quietly, like eating stew.
Okay. I mean, I will say, if you lot are kind of going to stay up late enough to wait till the small hand goes to sleep, most of their mercenaries go to bed so you could talk amongst your group. I mean, it doesn't take long for this group to find themselves kind of crashing like afterwards. As soon as Frungus stops telling stories and seems to go sit on Sprungus' shoulders, most of them seem to start to kind of work their way towards their tent.
Yeah, I do like mention to Dom, like, because I'm not super worried about being overheard, like in like the throw of like them paying attention to the stories and like everything going on.
Mm-hmm.
But I do like just mention like, this is an uneasy allyship at best. I wouldn't fancy spending too much time trusting our junior pal.
I think all allyships, unless forged under a strong enough bond, are uneasy at best, to be honest. I have lived through many near-death experiences with you lot, and Utham quite literally saved my life. Anyone else? I would not trust them as far as they could be thrown. We'll wish it with the case of giants. He's not very far, very heavy, as people we are. No, I mean, you have a right to be cautious, but I prefer foes, potential foes, people who are upfront, that they do not care, than people who pretend. Junior and us have made it quite clear we're here for the convenience of keeping each other's groups alive and will not be doing any good Samaritan work outside of that. And that to me is much better than other groups or the Black Hand outright wanting you dead.
It just kind of nods and says, "No, we should trust a viper to be a viper."
Well, vipers don't strike until they know they'll hit their target, so don't get ourselves back in the corner and we'll be okay. If nothing else, I think having the small hand join us means the Black Hand's anger is now split between both our groups, which means attacking one of us draws in the other. I mean, we risk inviting the snakes into our bed, so to speak, but they were already around us. At least in this scenario, there's more people to get caught in the fray should things happen. I mean, I don't know to what extent Burr's actually doing her job, but if a Black Hand comes to kill us, having a ally group who can attest to the fact that they witnessed a murder attempt would be very helpful legally.
I just kind of shrug and say, "I have more or less forgotten about Burr's existence. She is compromised at best and is a willing collusionist at worst."
I think it's dangerous to forget about her. I've given up any hope of
No, I don't mean like
her
forget as in
assisting us, but
that exactly. I don't mean, literally not concerned with her. I mean more, she's
think-
not a help.
right. Well, I didn't anticipate she'd be much of a help to me being tied to Utham. She's got her reservations, but I think we need to keep an eye on her in the coming days, but also try not to brush shoulders with her, so to speak. I don't want to deal with what she's got going on, but I worry leaving a potentially influenced leader unattended is also risky for us. And that's assuming she was under influence. It's just as likely she is doing this of her own volition. In which case, if we get evidence of her betraying Utham, well, can handle things legally.
I just kind of like shrugs and says, "Right now I'm focused on making sure we get through this expedition. Everything else is secondary. We have enough enemies and we have enough trials to keep us busy without adding more to the pile. If you see the opportunity, go for it. Just know that I'm not going out of my way."
I don't think many of us are going out of our way other than for things of importance. We tend to pick up thorns in our side wherever we step, so to speak.
Side, back, front, middle, rear.
As you guys are having this conversation, I will note in the background, you do start to watch as like the last of the small hand kind of find their way into their tent, closing up the flaps for the night, like zipping it shut as they do, leaving you lot with just Frungus and Sprungus and Ned and his goslings who are slightly snoring up against his leg as you sit amongst the camp now. As you look about the rest of the camp, a lot of the fires still flicker with what looks to be watches, but many of them already having gone to bed.
All right, let's coup de grace all of them for the XP. Joking, obviously.
I heard the man.
Ida reveals he's
I
the
said-
people he said
Yeah,
all along.
suddenly, Order 66, and Sprungus just turns and lights the camp on fire.
We need an extra ingredient for the stew, and it's
See, that's,
fresh blood.
that's why Frungus has been working his way through the camp, is he's finding the ones who'd be loyal, and, the ones that didn't are gonna die now.
And no, yeah,
Oh.
exactly. We're setting a very strong example, night one.
No,
If you don't
but
join us,
as you find yourselves kind of alone, you do hear these still loud, very loud, manly snores of Kez coming from the cart that seem to kind of echo slightly as you lot sit. But you do notice that Sprungus and Frungus kind of keep looking towards the forest, and they seem to be quietly talking to each other, not in a way to like it looks like they're trying to hide what they're saying from you guys, just not trying to be loud, as they kind of seem to be talking to just each other. As you two continue, I assume Ned kind of listening to you lot as he watches the gosling sleep at his side.
It's like blankly staring at the two, whispering back and forth.
Yeah, perfect.
You doing okay there, Ned?
Yeah, just trying to. I don't know. There's a lot of whispering going on in here.
By the way, Ned, have you thought about your grove more?
I was going to ask the same thing.
I mean, what about him?
I mean, are you going to try to reclaim your leadership? I'll be honest with you, Ned. You're mostly an enigma. I have no idea what's going on with you 90% of the time.
That's the way I like it. Just smile.
Ah, I can agree to that.
But I mean, maybe someday when the time's right.
I mean, I don't know about Dom, but I'd certainly be willing to help you out if you needed it.
As long as helping you does not interfere with me assisting what Utham needs, I'm never opposed to helping you guys out. I don't have many moral obligations or quests, so to speak, that would interfere, at least for now. Long term, but I think most of my long-term goals align with the group's interest anyway. I mean, I don't plan to be hunted down by an evil entity all my life. And he kind of like pointedly puts a hand on the back of his neck where the mark would be. You know, I don't think Utham would be opposed to you setting up a grove in his lands. I mean, obviously, while you're marked, you probably couldn't stay near cities, but he's got a lot of new land now, a lot of wilderness, if it suits you here.
Isn't Knighton a bit of a druid grove to begin with?
It's a whole druid city.
Which, on the upside, that means that you will find something to keep you entertained in the very near future.
I do wonder why a member of your grove seemed to be here. You're not from here, are you?
Ned's just quietly staring at you.
What was the question? Sorry.
Oh, you're.
Dom mentioned how we found a dead member of your grove with the staff, and confirmed that Ned wasn't from around here, or like asked if he were, and he didn't know.
Well, I'm originally, from the Fire Giant lands, as far as I know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I haven't quite figured out what they were doing here. The Raven is actually a tale from a different grove.
So there's both the grove that left the Raven, the dead druid, and a staff left by someone of your grove. Huh. With the body of Kez's God's champion. very convenient placement for all of that. Do you think your grove is looking for you, or do you think your grove would have other reasons to be here?
Does anything? Does the staff look normal, or is there anything else to it?
Do you give me a knowledge nature check? I will say you do get something automatically from the amount of time you've been spending with the staff and looking it over. I imagine, like in your as you've been kind of holding on to it this day, most of the day.
Quick question: like, as he like whips the staff out, or does he? I'm sorry.
Okay, Toyone. We'll give it a sec here, Ryder. To answer, so
Yeah, go for it.
Ned, as you figure out, the item, the staff is made of a wood that you don't recognize. As you realize, this seems old. The wood is almost petrified as you get a closer look at it. And as you take a moment with the knowledge nature you got, you'd guess somewhere in the thousands, hundreds of thousands, potentially years old for how old this staff seems to be. The runes of rebirth kind of written into it. Well, you look at, they do recognize similar to what your own grove uses for the marks, but they seem to be finer design, like someone who had a cleaner hand and a much better concept of magic than many of the members of the grove that you remember. As you take a second and look at this can't have belonged to any of your members. You were the most powerful druid amongst your grove when you left. If this belonged to one of them, they'd definitely be more powerful than you.
Well, I'm starting to think that I may have been replaced anyway. I mean, the staff here is very old and stronger than anything that was at the grove when I left.
Do you think it is from your grove, or do you think it is from whoever left that raven? I mean, I don't know how unique that phrasing is to your grove. Is there a chance there'd be another grove that would have that inscription? Or a similar one?
That's a good question.
I don't mean to accuse
that be
your grove
common?
of stealing ideas, but I mean, in nature, it would not be unlikely to have similar themes, yes?
With the knowledge nature you rolled earlier, the term rebirth was just something you picked as a name at the time, Ned. It's a cycle of nature. Trees are reborn. You became a druid and decided to build a grove. It just kind of fit at the time. I imagine there wasn't as much special meaning to it at the time that you could think of, but you don't remember any histories or anything mentioning some grove like that.
Well, nothing history-wise about it, but it was just kind of a fitting word when I picked it.
Well, if it's not from your grove, that both solves some things and complicates some things, I'd say. Obviously, it would remove the mystery of why your grove would be here, but then instead opens up more questions into who else was here. If it's not of importance to you, we don't need to look into it, but I feel like there's a lot of things tying together that involve all of us, and it is perhaps in our best interest to look into them together when possible.
As you kind of think about that for a second, as you start to realize that there's seems to be something going on, kind of looking about the situation, Ned. The undeath, this strange ancient sigil of your people, or of your grove, And now the soul coin thing all in one place, and it seems to be prevalent to all of you. So, there seems to be almost a something going on in the background that is kind of cluing, like a large knot, if you will. As you start to kind of realize this, Ned, something catches your attention, and you think for a moment. There was amongst those trees, amongst the stumps that you had hit, or went and kind of sat to meditate, a strange marking that kind of comes to mind suddenly. That you remember looked exactly like the R in your marking of rebirth when you created the rune for it. And something about that seems suddenly to clue into your head.
There were some carvings back in the forest where I was meditating that looked the same as the R.
You. Do you see Dom go to say something and then like kind of closes his mouth and choose not to say it?
Can you draw the rune that you use for your growth?
Sure.
I'm also curious about this.
Draw the R in the dirt.
As you watch the symbol get drawn, all of you give me a will save except for Ned, and not Kez because Kez is asleep.
Does it happen to be a compulsion effect?
Enchantment?
Me too.
Is this enchantment?
Yes, Sprungus and Frungus. Yes, you are too weak in your god powers to not be affected by this, so you will be. You do need to make a save.
I need a spell resistance check.
This would go. It does go past or is immune to spell resistance or doesn't affect spell resistance. Sorry.
Is it divine?
It is divine.
I was gonna say because I'm kind of.
I know.
Well, supernatural abilities don't bypass spell resistance, no matter what they are.
Mm-hmm.
It's my spell resistance is weird, but if it's not,
I know what for reference. Yes,
Oh,
your backing is too weak to not be to resist this, so you will be affected.
Guys, it's
Getting
my
that 20.
first nat 20 in like 5 sessions.
That's good to hear. Eider?
Sorry, I was trying to ask because I've got my soul meld shape that gives me immunity to compulsion. It's like the protection from evil bit, where you're immune to the mental compulsion effects.
Let me check if this is a mental compulsion, technically. It is a compulsion mind affecting. So I need you to roll me a D100 and pick a high or low.
I guess high?
Okay. 24 fails, which is one of the only people you didn't want to fail. Okay, perfect. And Frungus?
29.
29, so you do succeed. Everyone, and Ned, what's yours? Oh no, Ned, you're mute. Never mind. Yeah, never mind, because you're growth. Sprungus, you suddenly feel a compulsion to run into the forest and kill everything and anything you see, which is not a foreign concept to you in the slightest, given your adventures recently. But you almost feel compelled more so to do so. It's as if it's not of your own driving. As you find yourself being forced to start taking steps towards the forest, your anger growing as you get closer to it.
AC Sprungus get up and just sprint off into the woods the moment he looks at this symbol.
He's gone. Yep.
His eyes are gleaming.
Sprungus, stay.
Are you doing this on your diplomacy thing, or do you have an actual effect? Just out of curiosity.
This is an actual effect.
Okay. All right. Send me what you're doing. Yeah.
Sorry.
I was saying, if you don't want to say it out loud, you can send it to me. So. R for rage, yeah.
No, it's not the command spell, but it's a command effect.
Ooh.
So it's like the effect of the command spell, but as like a spell-like ability, basically.
me double check something. Alright, you're gonna roll me a D. Give me a. We'll call it another D100 and we'll do a higher roll on this. Because.
This is a will save for him.
Right. You're doing on him? Okay.
Yeah, I'm doing it on him.
Okay. Yeah, Sprungus, give me a will save.
Make a will save. Okay.
Also, he's not, just for reference, Sprungus is not the twink.
26.
Alright.
God damn it.
Oh, is Sprungus not the one running into the woods?
Sprungus is the one running into the woods, but he is not the twink.
Sorry, I heard Frungus.
Oh, no.
No, Fungus
No,
is
it's
the
bad.
twin.
The giant flaming monster is running into the woods.
Oh, no. Oh,
Yep, as Sprungus disappears,
I guess-
you hear the screams of boars and bears in the distance after a few moments. Go ahead, Kez.
Oh, it was to light the forest on fire, wasn't it?
As you see a splay of blood in the distance as Kez thinks this in his head.
Under a controlled burn, yes.
I just like turn, look in the distance, like that guy's fucking gone.
There is a monster made of lava running around the forest like a madman.
Yeah, you see splays of blood every once in a while, like fly up into the air and rain down in the distance. Only noting it's blood due to
old Frungo.
He starts like walking towards the forest.
Ned, what the
It's
fuck
like
does
this
that symbol stand
sometimes.
for?
Rebirth?
Is he forcing the process to go quicker? Because he's killing things.
As you say that, you hear a bear make a death screech, a roar.
Have I ever
can
seen
Dom-
anybody do this before? Do I know what's going on?
Your staff has never, whenever you've had your quarterstaff out in public, with all of the markings of rebirth, nothing seems to happen, but, you've never just drawn an R before with the same marking. Or them individually before.
Can...
Actually, now that I think about it, those of you who are awake, come with me. We're going for XP.
It is.
What is crazy man talking about?
It is quiet as the other camps are asleep.
Fungus's nose starts to bleed as he tries to grab, very loosely, not actually grappling, but grab one of you by the arm and sprint into the forest after his brother.
Who do you grab?
Me. See. It'll just be whoever's closest. Dom.
No!
Alright.
Dom's like looking at Ned like, Ned, you should probably cross out the mark.
Killing things.
Ned, cross out the
I
arm.
will erase out the mark.
Alright.
I don't think I'm strong enough to break out of a grapple.
With Frungus?
Nosebleed.
I mean,
just try.
You want to try? Yeah, I was gonna say, do you resist?
I did say I wasn't grappling.
Yeah, that's true.
No, it's part of the joke. I mean, I feel like Dom kind of wants to be involved to see what's gonna happen, but also at the same time, I don't think he wants to be involved alone. So are we going to stop your brother, or are we just there to watch? Because I don't want
No,
to
we're
fight.
there to join in with the killing.
What are Ned and Eider?
Everything.
Eider?
I'm just like studying the rune, thinking about what the fuck it could be.
And Ned brushing it out. Ned, do you do anything as you watch the two disappearing towards the forest?
I would like to scuff up the dirt and remove the mark.
Alright, as you do so, are you following after them, or are you just gonna crawl into the wagon and go to bed? Or just
I'm
hang
gonna
out?
walk out of the tent and watch until I can't see him anymore, and then just crawl into the.
Come on, Ned.
Oh God.
I mean, I don't know if Dom is fully on board with killing a bunch of animals. I think Dom is going to come along to see what happens and potentially see if he can get any useful food or animal parts from the animals that have been killed, just because it seems kind of useful.
Alright, as you three
thanks,
disappear into the forest after Sprungus hearing screeches about Oat and followers showing themselves, The sounds of roars of battle and combat as trees crumble to the ground in the distance as you get closer. The sounds of creatures screeching and trying to run away as a bear on fire runs past you in fear, looking back. This giant grizzly bear, easily weighing almost twice what you guess a normal grizzly bear too, as it runs, having a bald spot on its back. A couple of elk seem to disappear into the distance. Chunks of them missing as they're running away. As you lot kind of start to head towards the direction continuing to hear this, we're going to end session there. We thank you all for watching. We hope you enjoyed, and we hope you'll join us next time to watch as Frungus, Dom, and Eider get decapitated by Sprungus. See you then.
Uh-oh.